93.5 and 107.5.
Boom, baby!
The Fan.
I believe the tweet yesterday I got was, it's about time you got a real professional alongside of you. So, boy, that's quite the compliment, or maybe quite the knock on myself. Jake Query in studio the next 5 days on the Fan Morning Show. Welcome in. Good Wednesday morning to the city of Indianapolis.
When does the professional get here?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm looking at it, although I did walk in and you had the feet propped up and looked like you had been here for about... Hell, it looked like you spent the night here.
I did actually spend the night here. I called up Sam Rumsa and was like, you know what? Everybody keeps asking how I'm going to get up early, and here's the key, Kevin. You don't have to get up early if you never go to bed.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
you are used to this. You are used to, frankly, much earlier hours than this. I was chatting with you yesterday, and you're like, oh, yeah, you used to do WIBC at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, wait, on air at 4:30 in the morning?
Yeah. You know, I remember one time. So let me ask you this. Have you overslept yet?
No.
Okay.
Knock on.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You won't, but I will admit that when I worked at WIBC, maybe I should admit this right out of the box, but there was one day where I overslept. Now, I had to be on here. I hit the button at, I think it was 4:25 or something each morning. And there was one morning where, for whatever reason, boom, my alarm didn't go off, whatever. And I woke up at like 4:40 or something. Oh, my, So Charlie D., who was an engineer and worked here overnights, I call it in, and oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'll be there in 15 minutes or whatever. And I walked in probably 25 minutes after the show had started, and Charlie D was sitting in the seat and was taking calls. What's your favorite color? Red, yellow, or orange? So I walk in, and Charlie D's taking calls at like 4:45 in the morning, and he waved me off. No, I got it till the top of the hour, man. We're good. Go get something to eat. I'm like, okay. So, and then I remember John Quick, who was the program director at the time, I said to him, afterwards, I thought, well, that's it. My radio career is over with. I'm going to get fired. And I'd probably been here a year at the time. And he said, oh, man, you made it a year. That's one of the longest we've ever had for a morning person before it finally happened to him. So they were forgiving, and all's well that ends well.
Well,
so
I'm glad.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm glad that you are with us. And again, it'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday as well with Jake Query. Obviously, you guys know him well from his days not only in this building, but various stops around the Indianapolis area. And IndyCar Radio just wrapped up, so we've kind of been juggling Jake's West Coast schedule the last 3 weeks, but now that things are quieting down on that front, he will be in studio not only the next 5 days, but a little bit more in October as well. Stephen Holder, 8 o'clock, as usual, every Wednesday with him. Jeff Rabjohn's previewing a massive one for the Hoosiers on Saturday night in Happy Valley. And Chris Stenary, now that we're getting into 6 days. How about this, Jake? 6 days away from the first preseason game.
I know. It's so funny to me, the sports calendar every year. I love summertime, right? And I love the NFL, and I love college football in particular. But I always get kind of this like hesitant feeling when football camps start, because I'm like, man, we are now just a snap of the fingers away from, be careful what you wish for, because the season begins, and then before you know it, you're shoveling your driveway, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And the same thing with the NBA. So, there's a lot of intrigue, I think, around the Pacers this year, because I think people thought there would be more aggressive off-season moves in terms of their roster, but I don't think necessarily inside the building that was the thought process. I think fans thought that, but I think Indiana feels like the Pacers feel like they're closer to being able to be competitive than without making major changes. So I'm curious to talk with Chris about it and see just kind of what he anticipates for the season itself.
And certainly got to talk about the Karis LeVert injury situation. That news broke late in the show yesterday, a minor stress fracture there. It sounds like the hope is 2 to 3 weeks that he will miss. He's getting a second opinion. So we'll hit on that a little bit later as well. Really the big Colts news, typically Tuesday's an off day, unless you're making some roster moves, throwing guys on injured reserve, things like that. It's typically not a very active day around the NFL. They'll go back to practice today. But yesterday, Adam Schefter and all your national reporters seemingly in unison got the text, I'd assume from Marlon Mack's agent, saying, hey, us and the Colts have mutually agreed to pursue a trade for Marlon Mack. Nothing like, I don't think there's a position in sports, frankly, maybe a center in the NBA, that has been more devalued over the past handful of years or so than running back in the NFL. What were your thoughts when you saw that news about Marlon Mack?
Yeah, I think you're dead on there. And the fact that, the era of it is, unless you have an elite running back that gets stronger as the game goes on between the tackles, like a Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is so valuable because Tennessee can use him. If you're Tennessee, all you have to do is be in range late in the game to get the lead, and then you can just salt clock with the Derrick Henry, right? I mean, he just gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. Guys like that are fewer and further between, and so when you have a running back that is basically a big play in space running back, the offensive schemes have just, as the league has become more pass friendly, have gotten away from that. So to your point, I don't know that it has the value that it once did. But Kevin, look at it this way. I recall when the Colts traded Marshall Faulk, and I'm not trying to go, in the Wayback Machine here for people, but Marshall Faulk was an elite running back in a time when the running back was still an elite part of the NFL. He was 25 years old. And they traded him for a second and fifth rounder. So what are you going to get from Marlon Mack? A quarter century later, and Marlon Mack, who's a dynamic talent, but he's not Marshall Faulk, right? So, what are you looking at? Maybe a sixth rounder?
Yeah.
Seventh rounder, somewhere in there?
I'd be surprised if it was anything more than a seventh rounder.
And he's coming off injury, right? So, look.
Not just any injury, either.
Correct, like a debilitating injury.
Yeah, torn Achilles for a running back is, frankly, a death sentence.
So I would think the easiest way to evaluate the whole thing is to say, this is, I think, what happens when you're a good citizen and, for the most part, by all account, a good teammate. In the fact that the Colts look at it and they look at their depth chart and they know, hey, you know what? This is a guy that we don't have the space for now, but he's been a good guy and he wants to still play, so let's facilitate that for him. But the other thing to me that's curious is, if the Colts felt like he had a trade value or they could really kind of cash in on him, they would have at least utilized him to some aspect to show people he can still play. There's still a huge question mark as to what he can do.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So does he, I guess the real question becomes, Kevin, in your opinion, does Marlon Mack have trade value?
No, again, define trade value. Is a sixth-round pick trade value? I guess, at some point you can
anything,
you can
right?
package. And I guess if it's not a sixth-round pick, can you find a depth piece on the offensive line, or some team looks at it and we're like, we have an equivalent of Marlon Mack on our O-line, or we have an equivalent of Marlon Mack in our defensive backfield.
Correct.
And this guy just, we like him, we kind of like him, but there's no real spot for him on game days, things like that. We'll give, instead of waving him, here's our cast off, here's your cast off, let's swap it, a la different scenario, but a la Philip Dorsett for Jacoby Brissett a handful of years ago.
You would think that if there is a team out there that has an expendable rotational lineman of any variation, that would be of some offensive linemen and cornerbacks. They're the two things that I've always said. Offensive linemen and defensive backs in the NFL are cell phone chargers and sunglasses. You can never have too many. Because at least one you have
really
is always
on sunglasses?
Broken. Oh, are you kidding me? Sunglasses? Don't you ever lose your sunglasses?
But you can always find a scrap, I feel like.
Well,
Chargers for sure.
Sunglasses, like you always have. You got one pair of nice sunglasses. You got another pair that's like in the console of your car that you forgot about, and it's got a broken arm on it, or whatever. Another pair that's scratched, but you wear them from time to time.
Yeah, you got at some charity event or golf outing or something. Yeah.
So if you can get somebody's charity golf outing pair of sunglasses for your cell phone charger that has like the crimped wire with the duct tape around it, you do it, right?
Yeah,
it's all relative.
Honestly, it just sucks that it's come to this for Mack, because torn Achilles for a running back. And like when he tore that Achilles last year in the season opener, this dude was a 24-year-old 1,000-yard rusher looking at a multi-year second contract. And a multi-year second contract for a running back, those guys go to bed dreaming of that. There's no guarantee that guys hit on that or are able to sign such a contract, not to mention he's running behind an offensive line that at the time, was certainly one of the best in the NFL. But to your point, I was looking up yesterday when I was writing something. You brought up Marshall Faulk, 20 years ago, however many years ago that was. Now, running back trades are so devalued.
Oh, yeah.
In the NFL. I was looking, I think in the last 5 years, there's been 11 trades involving running backs. Only one netted a first, second, or third round pick. And that was done by the GM of all GMs, Bill O'Brien, who we clearly saw how that 10-year ended. So, yes, a 6th-round pick, where do I sign and move on? Of course, without the Colts season's going right now, Jake, the day you trade Marlon Mack's probably the day Jonathan Taylor pops something in practice.
How many? That's a good point. And again, at least you have, of course, that goes into a whole different can of worms, which is like a Nyheim Hines. You know, is he a feature back? He's not. He's a great complimentary back. But that to be said, how many systems can you even think of, Kevin, off the top of your head in the National Football League that are centered around the running game?
To the Colts' extent, not many.
Right. So that limits you even further in terms of places that you could send him.
I mean, there have been Baltimore's had injuries around it. Hell, Baltimore's had injuries everywhere. San Francisco is a team that wants to run it. They've been a little bit banged up. I find it interesting, like, the Colts have invested so much in their run game, certainly a running back. Trade up for Jonathan Taylor, just gave Nyheim Hines, a big second contract. Do you remember the name Jonathan Williams?
Yeah.
Back-to-back 100-yard games when Marlon Mack was hurt, 3 years ago. Like, the Colts have proven that you can find scraps. So, like, it's a desperate position, or I guess you are hoping there is a desperate team looking for a player at a position that's not very desperate to a lot of teams, if that makes sense.
To your point, how often do you see, because you do, late in the year or like in the wild card round, some guy pops out of nowhere and has an 85-yard touchdown game? And I think sometimes it's a lot like pitchers in the postseason in Major League Baseball. If you get a guy that all of a sudden, is not necessarily in the scouting report, late in the year he gets an opportunity and defenses are unfamiliar with his running style or what he does, and then boom, you have one-hit wonders for certain. But to get guys that do that week in and week out, teams just aren't looking for that in their offense. They're just not.
Yeah, and I think they know the attrition that comes with that position as well. I do want to make it clear this is in no way a tank move by the Colts. Like I was saying in late August, you know full well, all right, who's going to be the surprise cut this year? That's such a popular question at the end of training camp, at the end of the preseason. I said nobody, but if there's a name to watch, the name that I continue to bring up was Marlon Mack, because this is a guy that had too much success early in his career, so he never needed to play special teams.
Right.
He's not a big third down Nyheim Hines sort of role, so where does he fit? He dressed week 1, didn't see the field, didn't even play special teams. Week 2, he gets in, 5 carries for like 15 yards, does nothing for you. And then obviously last week, he's a healthy scratch. Right now, he's a luxury to the Colts. And Jonathan Taylor has not missed a game since high school. Maybe that's a kiss of death, but he's been extremely durable in his career. Nyheim Hines has been even more durable in his career. There's just no need for Marlon Mack on the Colts right now. Granted, I say that, and you're one injury away from, being like, hey, where did Marlon Mack go?
Do you recall, I can't remember if it was 1,500 yards or 2,000 yards that Jim Irsay predicted for Marlon Mack?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Hell, with Jim, it could have been 3,500 yards.
He's going to be a guy that, I think when you look at him, we certainly, 1,500 yards.
I think it was 1,500, yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, that's asinine. But, had he been healthy, he had, when he was a healthy back.
Especially behind a healthy offensive line.
Right.
Yeah.
He was, look, you're talking about an upper half running back for certain. But at the same time, there is a difference between, an upper level Mercedes with 20,000 miles on it and one that has a rebuilt transmission.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he was an upper-level Mercedes at any point, but he certainly has a rebuilt transmission at this point.
Yeah, news like this from yesterday is just a reminder of parents, don't have your kids grow up and play running back, because unfortunately it's just a position that continues to get devalued.
Make him a long snapper, brother. He can play forever.
That or a lefty out of the bullpen. He's Jake Query. I'm Kevin Bowen. Mark Dykton, as always, Fan Morning Show. We'll get Jake's thoughts on the quarterback, soap opera. Is that fair to call it? Soap opera right now for the Colts as well. Stephen Holtner, Jeff Rabjohns, Kristen Airy. Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Your home for indie sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things indie sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for indie sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Safe Auto offers Indiana state minimum car insurance for less than 48 cents a day. Visit safeauto.com or call 1-800-SAFE-AUTO.
Play it safe, Safe Auto.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Save up to $150 off select tires now through October 31st. Only at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires, the team you trust.
As our troops are coming home, every business should be finding ways to thank and honor them for their service. We created the Hero Loan. HeroLoan.com.
NMLS number 1326241.
Denny Smith here for Sundown Gardens. It's prime time to be planting trees and shrubs. Sundown Gardens has a large selection of trees, and their expert nursery team can help you pick the right tree for the right spot. You need it planted? The Garden Center planting crew knows how to do it right, and they guarantee trees and shrubs for a full year if they plant them for you. And don't forget the pumpkin patch and wagon rides every weekend through October. Get your fall fix at Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
Get your payout before the game's out with BetMGM. Place a moneyline wager on any Thursday night football game, and if your team is up by 10 or more points at halftime, you win. That's a full payout for only half the game, no matter what happens the rest of the way. Simply go to your BetMGM account and opt in each week to the Thursday night halftime payout promotion. Want to continue wagering in the third quarter? Keep it rolling with BetMGM's extensive live betting options. Need to hit the sack early? Use your winnings to place a one-game parlay on Sunday and go for gridiron glory. If you're new to BetMGM, download the app today and see how you can turn halftime into cash time. Make a moneyline bet on Thursday night, and if your team is up by 10 or more, you'll win at the half. Only at BetMGM. Opt-in required. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Indiana only. Must be 21 years or older to wager. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Last year, this is what a touchdown sounded like at a high school football game without fans.
Blue 90, set, hut! Touchdown, Tigers!
Without you there, Indiana high school sports just weren't the same. But this year, a touchdown will sound like a touchdown again because you'll be there to experience it. High school sports are far better with you in the stands. That's because high school sports are about more than the game. They're about the community. They're about the fans in the stands who come together to cheer for the leaders of tomorrow.
Fans, I'm Commissioner Paul Knight, and I just want to welcome you back to the stands. The students and schools deserve your support.
This is high school football. This is Friday night. This is your IHSAA.
The house you're living in could cost you less. You've just got to refinance to one of these insanely low mortgage rates. Guys, it's Stan Dockich from my friends at American Financing, reminding you that there's never been a better time to get a free mortgage review. There's no obligation, no upfront fees, just a simple conversation around which program may be a better fit. Rates really are at all-time lows, and chances are you can benefit. Even if you refinanced or bought a home last year, you still may be eligible. It could mean lowering your monthly payments plus tens of thousands of dollars in long-term savings without restarting your term. You know what else? You may even be able to postpone 2 mortgage payments, creating even greater upfront savings. So don't put a refinancing off any longer. Rates won't stay this low forever. Call 463-223-1418. That's 463-223-1418 or visit AmericanFinancing.net.
The Payless Liquors help you with your fall party or tailgate. Half gallons of Wild Turkey 101 are only $38.99. Regular Crown Royal $22.99. Prisoner Red Blend just $44.99. Tito's Pints are $11.99. $17.92 has Manhattan and Old Fashions and half pint premixes. They're only $5.99. And PaylessLiquors.com is where you sign up for Colts tickets in the Bud Light Fan Zone. And be sure to pick up your Bud Light 15-pack aluminum bottles just $15.99 at all 26 family-owned Payless Liquor stores. Liquors. Don't pay more, get more, pay less at Payless Liquors.
USA Today Sports Plus is the new sports app that puts fans first. While others are at the press conference, they're in the locker room with more reporters in more cities than any other news outlet. Get the latest scores, stats, and standings and enjoy interactive experiences as well as group chats with their award-winning sports writers. If you're a fan of football, you need USA Today Sports Plus for this upcoming season. Download it from the Apple or Google Play stores today. USA Today Sports Plus. Fan harder.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Official sponsor of IU Athletics.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Michael. But since he is so focused on growing his career, we hired an actor to read his story.
If you want a job where you get out as much as you put in, Geico is the best place to work. Plus, we promote from within, so there are no ceilings placed on your opportunities.
They even offer parental leave to full-time employees. So there's nothing stopping him from going all the way to the top. But not too high. He's scared of heights.
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
This Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Week 4 here in the NFL, and the Colts are back to practice. Wednesday practice. We'll see what the injury report looks like for Carson Wentz. A couple other big names on there. Quentin Nelson, Kwity Paye. Does Braden Smith get back as well? Obviously, the big news yesterday, Marlon Mack and the Colts mutually agreeing to seek out potential trades for the young running back. Here was offense coordinator Marcus Brady yesterday talking about just the depth the Colts have at running back.
He has. He's looked very good. He looked good in week 2 too, as when he played against the Rams. It's just, when you got that much talent in the backfield, it is kind of hard to kind of share the wealth.
Jake Query is with us on the Fan Morning Show. He'll be with us the rest of the week here on 93.5, 107.5. Do you think it's a situation, Jake, where they just keep Marlon Mack out, or is it something where you almost look to feature him a little bit to try and drive up trade value?
I think probably the latter, right? I mean, you got to make sure that you're not creating a situation that has a ripple effect throughout the locker room. I don't think that's going to be the case, right? Wouldn't surprise me if they gave him some looks in hopes of increasing what they can get from him. But what are you going to improve? Maybe a draft round, maybe,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Look, I think in the end, this is probably a situation you would like to think pretty amicable, and hopefully in the end works out well for both sides.
When it's the 0-3 Colts and the 1-2 Dolphins, and you've got a backup quarterback and a questionable quarterback, I wasn't expecting the A team from CBS this weekend, but this is the F team. Spiro Diaz and Jay Feely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jay Feely.
Can't wait for a great breakdown on Hot Rod missing from 52 yards from Jay Feely on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, our coverage begins at 10 a.m. Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi, and Lara Overton. Late yesterday in the show, the news broke on Karis LeVert. A minor stress fracture in his back was the report from Adrian Wojnarowski. Sounds like about 2 to 3 weeks, seeking out a second opinion. I don't know about you, Jake, but I hear second opinion, I hear back injuries, and I get a little nervous.
Well, I hear minor. To me, I don't know. I'm no doctor. I haven't even taken the classes from Sally Struthers, but let me tell you something. There's no such thing as a minor stress fracture in your back, right? Is there? I mean, come on. No, look, Karis LeVert, we have seen what he's capable of doing, and that's probably never at 100% health. So, fortunately, to the beginning of the year, not in the middle of the year. Just got to hope it's not a TJ Warren situation.
Yeah, 3 weeks from tonight, the Pacers will get their regular season underway. And right now, at the start of training camp, you've got 2 open starting jobs. Karis LeVert being out for at least a couple weeks. Sounds like TJ Warren going to be much longer than that. So Chris Tenary will join us later to chat about that.
Have you noticed how quickly it got light out?
Hey, welcome to 7 a.m. Is this the first time you've seen 7 a.m. in a while?
Yeah, that wasn't a slow sunrise. All of a sudden, I look out, it was light out.
It's like the Truman Show. They went from night to day in 5 seconds.
That was it.
Wow. I mean, haven't you been on some red eyes? Haven't you seen it, kind of go from dark to light lately?
Yeah, but not like, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. I've never noticed that.
So there will be this thing called the sun, and it's going to rise, and you're going to see that here in about an hour. So
this is quite exciting.
Nothing like Jay Query seeing the morning for the first time in X amount of years here. I don't know if the sun will be shining on Thursday Night Football. Jaguars and Bengals this week. -7.5 for the Bengals. Does Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence pique your interest at all tomorrow night?
I mean, the last time I saw that act, I'm a Clemson fan. It did not go well for Trevor Lawrence's group.
Yeah.
Lawrence,
I totally forgot about that angle. I guess that's something.
Yeah, look, Trevor Lawrence is going through what Peyton Manning went through as a rookie, right? And the fact that you know that the pieces are there, but man, college and pro defense is two totally different things. Joe Burrow's impressive, I think. Does it intrigue me? That is certainly one of those games that you look at and say, wait a minute, how did the Colts get, you said the F broadcast team? So what does that get? Are they have the G broadcast team?
Well, I don't know. Is it just NFL Network, Mark, or what are we even on right now, Thursday Night Football?
I believe it's still NFL Network through
but
this
not
game.
Fox, right?
Right, and then I believe, and I don't know all the way how it's working this next year, but I think Week 5 is when the games start getting a lot better. The matchups are a lot more juicy, and I think we go to Fox or Amazon Prime or something after that.
I mean, Spiro Ditas and Jay Feely, F might have been a compliment.
I've always felt like the Thursday Night Football broadcast was like hey, we've guaranteed everybody at least one primetime game, so we got to somehow mask to some of these teams. We'll just throw them on Thursday night and keep them happy.
It's funny you say that. Mark read off the Thursday night schedule. Maybe we'll hit on that a little bit later. It gets really good here coming up.
I'm speaking more, I guess, for when this was like the routine, like 3 years ago when they first started doing it, and you're like, wait a minute, really?
Yeah.
Like the Jaguars and Jets again?
Right. All right. Having the Jags been on Thursday Night Football 3 out of the last 5 weeks,
Right.
like that's what it is.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the Amazon angle, but the games do get a lot better.
So starting next week, October 7th, the games start on Amazon, NFL Network, and Fox. So there'll be 3 ways to get it, and we get Rams Seahawks next week.
That's
good.
That's Monday Night Football right there. Speaking of prime time, Jake Query, when do you think is the last time Indiana University has played a football game on ABC on Saturday night?
Ooh, on a Saturday night?
Hell, any night of the week, but yeah.
Man. Do you have the answer in front of you?
No, I thought you would.
I mean, the Anthony Thompson
I thought you were bringing
years,
that to the show.
The Anthony Thompson years against Ohio State, they would always... In the Bill Mallory era, Indiana was routinely the big game on ABC in the fall because they loved the aerials of the colors of Brown County. I kid you not. I think that was like a factor. But man, they've been so bad for so long. It's got to be 25 years.
Yeah, that would be my guess there. The line has jumped to -13.5 against the Nittany Lions on Saturday night from Happy Valley. That started, I want to say it was less than 10 at the start of the week, and now it's already hovering around 2 touchdowns there. It is a brutal stretch for IU. 3 straight games against teams all ranked in the top 20. So a massive test after IU has certainly failed their first Big Ten test and blew that game against Cincinnati a few weeks back. Purdue's got Minnesota. If Purdue wins, that is a 4-1 start, would be the best for the program since 2007. The marquee matchup, certainly, I think nationally, 2 top 10 teams, Notre Dame and Cincinnati on Saturday afternoon. Brian Kelly wanted to play his former team, and when they planned the game, 6 or 7 years ago, probably didn't think Cincinnati would be ranked top 10. And Jake, I feel like the winner of this game, I know Notre Dame has not been very impressive really at all. Cincinnati, the schedule is the schedule. The winner of this game, you got to think, is in somewhat of a lead position to get one of the 4 playoff spots.
I would agree with that. I think when you look at it, assuming that teams win out, right? Alabama, Georgia, if they face each other and whichever one wins, if that's the only loss the other has, I think both are in.
Right, because they don't play in the regular season.
Right. So Alabama, and I think Georgia's really good, and we know Alabama's good, right? So there's 2 right there. Then after that, if Oregon wins out and they've won, obviously they have a big win at Ohio State. So then it comes down to Oklahoma, a 1-loss Ohio State if they were to win out. But if there's an undefeated Notre Dame or Cincinnati, I've got to think one of the 2 of those.
What about the undefeated Big Ten team? What if it's Penn State or Iowa?
Well, that's I'm assuming that Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten.
Okay.
But if somebody wins the Big Ten and goes through Ohio State to do it, then it's going to be tough to leave them out too.
One loss Ohio State, undefeated Cincinnati.
I think one loss Ohio State.
Can you imagine the people in Cincinnati?
I think, to your point, Kevin, I think if Notre Dame is undefeated, Notre Dame gets in. I don't know that Cincinnati has the clout to be able to pull that off.
I say this is a diehard Notre Dame fan. The schedule just, it's not what you thought it was going to be at the start of the year. USC, nowhere near as good as you thought. North Carolina, I don't know if it happens
all
annually.
the time with Notre Dame. Oh, their schedule's amazing.
I
and then
can't
you look
go
at
there.
it like, come on, really? I mean, Michigan State, okay.
Well, I mean, they don't play Michigan. I think
I'm saying in years past.
USC, North Carolina, Stanford, teams that you think would be hell. The ACC just sucks, and that's frankly.
No, you're right about that.
Killing Notre Dame, and I would say killing Clemson, but Clemson's not had a good start at all. Quickly, with Major League Baseball, Cardinals 17 in a row. They officially clinched. So right now in the NL, you've got 4 of the 5 teams clinched. The Brewers are up 3.5. The Braves are up 3.5 on the Phillies for the final spot there in the NL East. In the AL, just 2 teams have clinched. The Rays and the White Sox. The Yankees are up 2 for the top wild card spot. Red Sox have the final 1, but the Mariners are just a half game back, and the Blue Jays are just a game back. I'm Kevin Bowen. He's Jake Query. We come back. We'll get into the quarterback drama for the Colts, get Jake's thoughts on that. Stephen Holder going to join us at the top of the hour. Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Hey, join me today. The great Seth Greenberg's going to join. Also, a lot of Colts talk, ladies and gentlemen. Jacoby Brissett gets a chance against his old team. Oh, boy, noon to 3 today.
After 20 years on the same sideline, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick meet this weekend as opponents. It's the GOAT QB against the GOAT head coach, and you can be a part of this epic showdown with unbelievable odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can win $125 on a $5 bet if either team scores a touchdown. That's right, 25-1 odds on any touchdown, anytime during Buccaneers-Patriots. Tampa Tom hasn't shown his age yet, so I'm rolling with the Bucs in this one, but you may feel different. Offers like this are just one of the many reasons I love betting the NFL on FanDuel. They're the #1 rated sportsbook app in America for a reason, because their app is safe, secure, and easy to use. So sign up on FanDuel Sportsbook today using promo code MARK and make your first bet one for the history books. That's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C, so they know I sent you. 21 and over and present in Indiana. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $125. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Dear driver, thank you. Thank you for slowing down when you saw the orange cones and road construction signs. My husband is one of those road workers. And today, you saved his life. If you hadn't slowed down, you would have missed that lane change, driven right into the work zone, and you would have killed him. Because you were driving differently. He'll be at our son's Little League game this weekend. He'll be there to walk our daughter down the aisle. He'll be out there tomorrow, making Indiana's roads safer. Thank you.
When driving in a construction zone, be smart, be alert, be in the zone.
This is Ray Hobbs, business manager of Labor's Local 741. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, open your eyes, pay attention.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
A new season, a new QB, a new look. Football is back. And so are Bud Light Blue Fridays. Every week, join JMV beginning at 3 for Cold Bud Lights, Colts football talk, and your chance to win tickets to Colts games.
Hey, JMV, join me Friday at Average Joe Sports Pub in Broad Ripple for your chance at Thursday Night Football Jets tickets.
JMV, Bud Light, and you. Doing it for the shoe.
I'll see you this Friday at Average Joe's in Broad Ripple.
When winter is at its worst, snowplow professionals need the best. That's why your local Boss dealer has the ultimate lineup of snow and ice solutions you need. Front to back, Boss leads with advanced truck plows and spreaders, compact equipment, heavy equipment, and time-saving tools to clear any surface area. Keep them open with a Boss snowplow, built to back you up.
Join the Boss Owners Group and get a $50 rebate right now with a preseason Boss plow inspection at Mid-State Truck Equipment. Online at mid-statetruck.com.
I definitely miss my days of playing a little pickup basketball or even some beer league softball action. And honestly, part of the reason I stopped playing was I was tired of constant pain. Are you dealing with any chronic joint pain? Not having success with steroids, but trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way, and it's now available here from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Again, we all should still be trying to play pickup or doing whatever physical activities that we love. And at QC Kinetics, you've got new therapies, advanced and all-natural regenerative treatments that can not only just give you relief, but also can restore and repair damaged tissue so you can have lasting relief. If you've got joint pain due to arthritis, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, don't just think the old ways of dealing with pain are the only ways. You need to learn more about these new biological therapy solutions. Call now for a free consultation. That's QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. Who knows? Maybe you'll discover something that'll allow you to get back on the court or diamond. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and help restore tissue, and they actually encourage your body to heal itself. So call now and learn more about these regenerative and revolutionary alternatives. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160.
How real do I give it? So real. How real do I give it? So real. So real that Caesars will give you some authentic NFL gear when you bet $100 in September. So download the app and get live in-game betting, parlays, Caesars rewards, and some authentic NFL gear. I'm an official sponsor of the NFL, people!
Must be 21. Offer valid in Indiana only and for new and existing users who opt into this offer. Jersey awarded as a gift card. Options may vary. Terms and conditions apply. See Caesars.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Fall in Indy, and for 20 years, Rhino Shield's been covering Indiana homes like your neighbor Edwina.
So over the years, I had to touch up the house. I just got to the point where I couldn't spend any more money on the outside of the house. And when I saw Rhino Shield, I thought that was the answer to my problem.
And Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
I've had painters here before, and it was usually quite a disaster with them leaving their equipment here and picking up things in the yard. But Rhino Shield was right on it.
You too can help Rhino Shield celebrate 20 years of covering Indiana homes for 20% off the regular price.
The gentleman said, if you're interested, give me a call. And I said, honestly, can you come tomorrow?
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Get Wendy's bacon or sausage, egg, and Swiss breakfast croissant for $1.99. This hot buttery croissant is fluffy enough to sleep on. Wakey, wakey. Get a better breakfast for just $1.99. Only at Wendy's.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Third-party delivery prices may vary. Not valid in the combo.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We've got Jake Query in studio the next 3 mornings and Monday and Tuesday as well here on The Fan. Obviously, the quarterback saga for the Colts has been the top storyline over the past few weeks. I don't know about you, Jake, but I'm sitting there watching Sunday, and I see Carson Wentz trot out for the opening series and watch him play the first 3 plays. I literally thought I was getting punked. I'm like, wait, he looks like that?
Listen. Well, first off, let me say to Mark, huge props there for playing the greatest band ever assembled as the bounce back music with the Open to Sweet Child of Mine.
Really?
Oh.
Got to earn those brownie points.
I was going to say, was that under the table a little bit there?
Yeah, as soon as I walked in. I'm like, hey, are we playing Guns N' Roses today? No, I'm kidding. Kevin, here's what befuddles me, okay? When the Colts drafted Jacob Eason, you could say that they took a flyer, but, I mean, Jacob Eason is a guy that had a pretty good college pedigree, right? And he has things about him, intangibles, that are intriguing enough that you understand why. And I think, people that play fantasy sports, one of the things that fantasy sports did, I think, was catapult people's interest in the National Football League that didn't previously have an interest in the NFL. The other thing that fantasy sports did, I think, was give people a taste of what it's like to be an actual GM. And I know that sounds crazy, but doesn't everybody, when they played fantasy sports, didn't everybody have like that one player on their roster that you just kept there because you felt like eventually there was going to be a week where you needed to plug them in and they were going to have a huge game and you were going to be the genius that everybody was like, oh, what a genius.
You don't strike me as a fantasy football player.
I was a fantasy football player in a league like during dial-up internet days, like 20-some years ago. And then...
God, I love that.
I've got buddies that live in Australia. And this year they asked me if I wanted to play in their fantasy football league. And I said, well, that's fine, except for that they wanted to do a live draft, and I had to do it at 3:30 in the morning because they're in Australia, right? And they're like texting me, there's a group text with all these Australians, and it's like at 5 in the morning, my phone's blowing up because it's, 7 p.m. over there, and they're
Jake, you have 2 kickers on your roster.
Yeah, exactly. So at any rate, with Jacob Eason, I understand the whole, we're going to get this guy and shelf him until he's ready to go and then roll him out and everybody's going to see why we were so patient. But what is the point in that? And why do you have him as your backup quarterback when, and I realize backup quarterbacks are not intended to be 4-week or beyond guys. But for a game or two, you have a backup quarterback for the sole purpose of having them there in emergency need to fill time while your starter is doing what he needs to do to get back on the field. Now you have a situation where you've got to go to a backup quarterback, theoretically, and you can't because the backup quarterback you have determined is not good enough to be trusted to take snaps, so you bring in somebody off your practice squad and you roll out a guy that cannot move. That, to me, said more about the lack of confidence in Jacob Eason than it did the incredible fortitude of Carson Wentz and the Colts' belief in that. And so, therefore, why is he on the roster? The backup quarterback has one job, and that is to take snaps when needed. If you have him not ready to take snaps when needed, why is he on your active roster?
Yeah, I could not agree more with that. I hear the experience comment from the Colts about why they went with Brett Hundley. First off, 10, 11 passes Brett Hundley's thrown in the last 4 years. Is that really experience?
Right.
And when does that experience does not outweigh bad football. And Brett Hundley has been a bad quarterback in the NFL. So that to me is something that it just doesn't check the box. I don't understand why is Jacob Eason out there week 1 and week 2. Now all of a sudden he's not. Brett Hundley's got more experience. Jacob Eason's got less experience. What changes with Brett Hundley running a scout team there?
And let me say, Kevin, this is not, and I think you'll agree with this, this is not some sort of an attack on I'm not sitting here saying this as some sort of attack on Jacob Eason at all. It's more just I don't understand the philosophy. I simply don't understand the philosophy. Why have you wasted now a year and almost a quarter? How long are you going to wait on a guy? If he's not ready to go now in an emergency situation, then why is he on the roster?
Brett Hundley was a 5th-round pick of the Green Bay Packers in 2015, and as a 23-year-old second-year pro, he got into a game. So, at some point, everyone has to be thrown into the mix.
Correct.
And Jacob Eason, as a 4th-round pick and a second-year pro who took reps that Brett Hundley never sniffed in training camp in the preseason, it just doesn't add up at all to me. And frankly, I didn't think Carson Wentz should have been out there on Sunday. I get he's tough, and I get that he told you he could play. Of course he's going to tell you he could play. And then after the game, Carson Wentz is saying, yeah, it's probably the most limited that I've ever been in a football game.
Kevin, he was out there because they had no other option.
But play Eason.
And I understand, but what I'm saying is in the National Football, how is it possible in the NFL that you did not have a backup plan? It was not raining when Noah built the ark. You know that, right? You know what I mean? I'm saying the Colts. They know that, right? You have to have a backup plan. To me, it's befuddling. I'm in agreement with you.
And you're further risk to Carson. I mean, Carson got hurt on the final drive. I don't know if people might have turned it off. If you watch Carson Wentz walk off the field on Sunday, that dude was limping hard. I mean, he got hit, I want to say it was 4, maybe 5 times in that last drive, re-aggravated that ankle injury. The hope is he's still in a better spot than he was this time last week, and he'll try to bump up practice by a day. But this dude is still going to be less than 100% come Sunday in a game that you have to have. You cannot lose Jacoby Brissett. You can't.
I thought Jim Irsay's comments on Saturday evening at the event that he had in Nashville regarding Carson Wentz, where he talked about He got into the vaccination stuff, which is a whole different talk show, I realize. But it did sound to me like Jim Irsay was tipping his hand on a disappointment as to how things have gone so far with Carson Wentz and just with everything. You know, he did say, look, he's been a good leader. He's a good player. But for him to even tip his hand to get into the vaccination conversation, to me, was an owner letting it known or sending the message that he is not at this point satisfied with the leadership of his franchise for the quarterback and the decision to put all the eggs in that basket.
Is there a need to bring that up, though? Like, is Carson Wentz's choice not to be vaccinated the reason why the Colts are 0-3 right now and have led for 6 minutes?
No, but what I'm saying is, to me, it was a subtle, and maybe I'm being far too Freudian. Is there a need to? No, which is the reason why, to me, there was more to it than just that. Because on the surface, is there a need to bring that up? There's not, unless you are subtly trying to send some sort of a message of, why are all our eggs in this basket, and why are we not better prepared for this moment?
Justin asked, if the Colts go down to Miami on Sunday and get picked apart by Brissett, how bad does that look on Reich and Ballard?
Very. Very. Because, wait a minute, you're telling me that we have to roll out a cadaver because we have no backup plan, and the guy that should have been the backup plan that you not let walk, I mean, you know, but is just beat you?
That was mutual.
I understood.
Jacoby and Colts,
understood.
But yes.
But I mean, but again, I mean, clearly the ship had sailed with him here. And I'm not saying that it is Jacoby Brissett that needs to be the backup quarterback on the roster, but I'm saying you had no backup plan, so therefore we've got to roll out a guy that can't move, and instead we went down and lost to a guy that was on the roster at one time. It's not a good look.
Yeah, it's not a good look because Jacoby Brissett's not a good quarterback in terms of a starting quarterback in the league. He's a fine backup. Your defense has been absolutely shredded by above-average quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you get a guy that is not starter material, again, he is a backup in this league, and Jacoby Brissett, that will look terrible.
Correct.
Because the Miami offense has been awful.
Correct.
Awful,
but Kevin, he is a backup that is competent enough to take snaps for Miami when Tua is not available to do so. And if that competency beats you, because you had to roll out somebody that you didn't have the competency to have a backup plan, that's a bad look.
It's I Gotta Know time here on the Fan Morning Show. He's Jake Query. I'm Kevin Bowen. Let's welcome in Mark Dykton.
Hello, boys.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, we've touched on the Marlon Mack reportedly seeking a trade. If, and that's a big if, they find a trade partner, what landing spot makes the most sense in your mind?
If I'm Marlon Mack, did you say?
If you could find a trade, yeah, what's the best landing spot for him?
Boy, that's a really good question.
I think Baltimore is the obvious one with all their running back injuries right now. But I tend to think the trade deadline isn't until early November. I want to say it's like November 2nd. You know, the Colts could probably be a little bit more patient here. And if all of a sudden, you know, you've got a team, I don't know, a team that's gotten off to a good start and they've got, you know, a high-end running back, and that running back goes down. You know, if Dallas loses Ezekiel Elliott for the year, you know Dallas isn't sitting there, you know, not afraid to push their chips into the middle of the table. Maybe a place like that.
I would say, and I hate to give this as the cop-out answer, but if you are a guy who is coming off a ruptured Achilles that's had 5 carries so far in the season, I think any franchise that's willing to give you a look, you're happy with it if they're going to make the trade. If he's going to get snaps somewhere, you know, I don't know that there's any team that automatically is going to say, we're now going to center our offense around Marlon Mack. If he has an opportunity to go somewhere that even puts him in the mix and in the rotation, he's got to be happy with it.
You got to find desperate, and I don't see anyone that desperate right now. And as Jake was alluding to earlier, you pop in the regular season film, you pop in the preseason film. The preseason film wasn't good either for Marlon Mack, so yeah, it's going to take some team that's in pure panic mode, I think, to really give you something more than about a 7th rounder.
Yeah, see, a couple weeks ago I would have agreed with you, the Ravens, but since they've got like Latavius Murray and Le'Veon Bell now, I don't think that they're an option. But there's the Sirianni connection with the Eagles, but he's not running the ball with anybody, so who knows what's going on there. The Panthers have the McCaffrey injury, and the 49ers have Mostert out for the season too, so that's a couple landing
San Francisco
spots.
I thought of, actually, because they're used to having an offensive scheme that uses running backs that are good in space, out of the backfield, short pass, yards after the catch type backs. San Francisco, I could see making some sense, but again, you never know what teams have in the reserve pipeline in terms of running backs, Kevin, because the reality is, like we've talked about, I mean, guys get rolled out that you're like, wait a minute, he was just elevated off the practice squad.
Right. Do you have a Jonathan Williams that
Correct,
you feel like can come in and rush for 100 yards? I also think you got to match skill sets. And the Christian McCaffrey thing, like, it's not Marlon's game, really, catching a ton of balls out of the backfield. So I think that's something to keep an eye on as well.
You guys think they will try to find a trade partner, or will they end up cutting him?
I think they will. Like I said, the trade deadline is not until early November. You don't need the roster spot. I know Chris Ballard loves Marlon Mack, and we've seen Chris kind of, do guys a solid and try and move them. But I would say hold on to him for a couple weeks here and see what can happen. It's not that urgent of a move that you need to make. I mean, hell, it's only week 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think they know the reality. I don't think that they're expecting that they're going to suddenly get first and second round picks for him, right? I mean, if they know that Marlon Mack is a guy that's not going to see time for them this year, and you can parlay that into offensive line depth or a 6th round pick or something, you do it.
It is interesting when we bring up Baltimore and San Francisco. You play Baltimore in 2 weeks. You play San Francisco, I think, 2 weeks after that. So that's just something that could be interesting as well.
All right, AL wild card up for grabs. Looks like the Yankees will get at least one of those spots. But between the Red Sox, Blue Jays, Mariners, and the long shot Athletics, who do you think grabs the final wild card spot?
I want the Mariners. Scotty had in the pop quiz yesterday. I mean, you talk about a long playoff drought, the longest in Major League Baseball, 2001. Heart saying Mariners. Boy, I would say the head says the Red Sox, but they just lost the freaking Orioles.
The A's losing in the play-in game is a tradition like no other in the fall, but I will say the Toronto Blue Jays.
I'm with you. I want to see the Blue Jays in there. Vlad Guerrero Jr., please.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well. And, boy, Giancarlo Stanton right now, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's been awesome. All right, last National Coffee Day. Are you guys coffee fans? If so, do you have a go-to kind you like?
I have never had a cup of hot coffee in my life.
Wow.
What do you have over there? Mountain Dew, I'm seeing?
Diet Mountain Dew. I used to do sugar-free NOS, Kevin, like it was going out of style.
Sugar-free NOS. I haven't heard that one.
Oh, man.
Like, we're talking first thing you wake up in the morning, multiple during the day?
Oh, buddy. Nectar of the gods. multiple variations thereof over the course of the day. But,
gosh,
haven't had one in almost a year.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Diet Mountain Dew is where it's at.
I was never a coffee guy before we had our daughter, and frankly, I wasn't much of a coffee guy before I started this.
What's the mug you have?
Started this morning show. Yeah, my sister-in-law gave me this mug, picture of me.
Nice picture of you on the front there.
And my daughter, a little Kobe Bryant quote on being a girl dad. Mark Dykton certainly knows what that's about.
I'm fielding a basketball team. Basically.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I was going to say, you could have a great Gus Macker team right now. 1 cup of coffee now.
Oh, this has got water in it. There's not even coffee in here.
In the morning, yeah. I already had my 1 cup, and I honestly think I do it out of routine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it does anything for me, but I'm too afraid to stop.
Yeah, I always say I got a headache because I didn't have coffee today, but I don't even know if that's true. I think sometimes I get a headache.
It's just what you just convince yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, man, this head's really killing me.
So you're psychologically addicted.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I am pounding water throughout the day. That's really. So no coffee ever, Jake?
I have to drink things quickly.
Yeah.
I can't sip on something.
So have you had like an iced coffee before or no coffee?
No, I have pounded, but it has to be the low calorie, like nothing in it. People. I like the people that go to Starbucks and then they give an order that is 35 seconds long and 1,350 calories, and I'm like, come on, man, what are we doing here? Like, if coffee's so great, why do you have to flavor it and jazz it and all that? But I'll pound like one of the little iced coffees.
Okay.
But that's about it. So so there's your answer. Starbucks iced coffee.
There you go.
My in-laws are pretty big coffee people, and sometimes they'll ask, hey, what do you want? I'm like, I don't even know. Just like get me whatever and give me the cheapest and darkest and whatever, and here we go.
Yeah, I'm pretty basic. Like, the like $10 coffees. I'm like, no thanks. I'll have something that's like $2.50 for a large. Like, go to the gas station and get something.
Do not spend any more amount of money on me than you need to.
No. All right, that's all I got now.
That's Mark Dykton right there again. Jake Query with us. It's at Jake Query on Twitter, at KBowen. 1070 on Twitter as well. Stephen Holder from The Athletic going to join us when we come back. We'll get Stephen's thoughts on the Marlon Mack trade situation and how he feels like the Colts have handled quarterback here over the last few weeks. Jeff Rabjohn's 9 o'clock, Chris Teneri at 9:45. Fan Morning Show here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You look at the Colts and credit for going and toughing it out to Carson Wentz. But honestly, no quarterback option for a guy that looked like that. We have talked how you should have addressed that in the offseason, and simply put, you did not. That is a complete lack of preparation from Chris Ballard and the Colts that simply cannot happen.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Rise, shine, and dine for just $1.99. Head to Wendy's for a sausage or bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant for just $1.99 during breakfast hours. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary.
Join our sister station 93.1 WIBC this Saturday at 6:30 p.m. for pregame as the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Bet Rivers Sportsbook is ready to make this football season one to remember. All season long, you can score at Bet Rivers Sportsbook with free bets, odds boosts, and more. With player props, thousands of game lines, and live in-game betting, Bet Rivers Sportsbook delivers a best-in-class sports betting experience and has an experienced customer service team to back it up. Visit Bet Rivers Sportsbook today and bet this football season with the local trusted team that puts you first. Go to BetRivers.com and be a winner. Partner of French Lick Casino Resort. Must be 21 or over. Platinum gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
These are the final days, the final hours of Diamonds Direct's incredible finance offer. You have until Saturday at 6 p.m. to take advantage of 5 years zero-interest financing. That's on any purchase. Buy now. Spread your payments over 5 whole years with zero interest. Response has been incredible, but this amazing offer comes to an end on Saturday and will not be extended. Don't miss the year's best buying opportunity at Diamonds Direct. 5 years zero interest through Saturday at 6 p.m. Get directions, details, and more now at diamondsdirect.com.
This is a message for all men. After trying the little blue pill, my family doctor said my ED was incurable unless I had surgery. My wife was supportive. She told me it wasn't that important to her, but I knew it was deep down inside. I felt less of a man, less of a husband without that intimacy. I was embarrassed. But all of that changed the day I called the Indianapolis Men's Clinic and made an appointment. My wife went with me, and let me say, my doctor was wrong. We have regained our intimacy. It's truly amazing what they've done for us. Indianapolis Men's Clinic resolved my ED and my low testosterone all in one place. Thanks, guys. No matter your age, your condition, or if you suffer from Peyronie's disease, we can help. $99 for a physician evaluation, test dose, and testosterone checkup. Call now 317-999-9000. That's 999-9000. Or at IndyMen'sClinic.com.
Get up and go now so you can go tonight.
A mortgage refinance can help lower your interest rate, reduce your monthly payments, or access some of your home equity as cash. But what exactly does it take to get started, and how can you know if it's right for you? That part is easy. Call my friends at American Financing, America's home for home loans. Dan Dockage here, and I like American Financing because of their free, no-obligation mortgage reviews, meaning no pressure. And no upfront or hidden fees, just a simple conversation around ways you can save up to $1,000 a month. That's right, a month. Because their salary-based mortgage consultants look at your entire financial picture so they can save you the most money. They really are in it for you, and they'll get you pre-qualified for free when you call 463-223-1418. That's 463-223-1418. 1418 or visit AmericanFinancing.net.
Hey, it's JMV for John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air, 317-253-2141. I know maybe you're not ready to talk about it, but you should be. Furnace cleaning, maybe maintenance. How about replacement or even indoor air quality and humidification? All of those are big deals this time of year. Let's start thinking about it with the best. And John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air, they'll take care of everything. 317-253-2141. That's love-hvac.com today.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. And we're not talking surgeries or steroids. steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Hi, this is Kevin Bowen, and QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biological therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. If you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, no surgery. Call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. That's 463-235-7160. Tired of dealing with joint pain and want to get moving again? You need to learn more about biological therapies that are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. It's exciting stuff. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics. That's 463-235-7160.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB. WIBC HD3 W228CX. Indianapolis.
The Pacers open the preseason in New York as they face the Knicks. Tuesday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. It's the Fan Morning Show.
We'll have some classes at times.
Hey, we're calling the plays, all right?
We gotta run the ball.
We'll pass, watch. We'll run the ball.
Can we run it down
there?
We run it down.
Yeah, Jeff. We will. All right, when we call pass plays, block.
With Kevin Bowen.
Boom, baby.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
A good Wednesday morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Fan Morning Show. I'm Kevin Bowen. Jake Query with us. Jake has not put on the sunglasses yet, although he says didn't realize it'd get that bright that quick.
That's amazing.
As he will be pulling the blinds over here in just a second. Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Stephen Holder joins us. Stephen, I was going to ask you if your alma mater was going to pay you to come to their collegiate football game this weekend with the Colts in Miami to take on the Dolphins. But, hey, the U's playing tomorrow night. Did I see that against Virginia?
I did look at the schedule to see if they were in town. And so, no, my presence will not they will not reimburse me for my presence because I can't make it. So, yeah, that's the deal. Yeah.
Man,
unfortunate.
Really, really missing out. That
and I'm going to miss it because, they're really having a great season, So.
Yeah, I don't know if you get more entertainment that or more entertainment in Jacoby Brissett and the Dolphins against the Colts on Sunday. But nevertheless, back to your hometown that you go. Let's start with kind of the news of the day. Yesterday, Marlon Mack and the Colts kind of mutually agreeing to seek out potential trade destinations. What do you think is realistic compensation if the Colts are able to move Marlon Mack?
Well, not as much as the fans think, that's for sure. I mean, look, this isn't going to be some windfall for the Colts. I do think they can get something. I thought in week 2, I think it was, when he played a little bit more, I don't know that he even touched the ball in week 1, if I'm not mistaken. I thought he looked pretty serviceable because I was kind of wondering. I didn't know how he'd hold up, and we only saw the preseason. We saw him in training camp and preseason. I don't take a lot of stock in that. So, anyway, my point is I thought he looked pretty good and looked serviceable and looks like a guy who can contribute for a team. But, we'll see. I mean, running backs are not typically a huge commodity in these matters. But, we did see the Sony Michel trade earlier, I believe right before week 1, I believe that took place. And I forget what the compensation was, but it was actually a little bit more than I would have imagined. So we'll see. I think that might have been a unique situation, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a late-round pick, if anything. There have been some people who have responded to some of my tweets, and actually I kind of like this. Can there be a player-for-player trade? We have seen Chris Ballard do a few of those, so maybe that's an option too. So that's something to keep in mind.
Could this, Stephen, in any way cause the Colts to roll him out and get him some reps in Miami or whenever it may be before they actively start taking phone calls? It simply to display. I mean, obviously, there's something to be gained by getting him out there and getting him in space. And if you can get yards out of him, he's averaging just over 3 yards a carry, but only 5 carries on the year. But is it in the Colts' best interest to show something out of Marlon Mack to try to drive up any sort of value at all?
Well, it's a dilemma, right? Because on the one hand, you're trying to not get him hurt because he's only a commodity for them if he can play. So that's the one thing. And then on the other hand, he's only had, like you said, the 5 touches. So there is a little bit of, if you're going to shop him, you kind of have to, excuse me, if you're going to buy a car, you're going to test drive that car, right? I mean, so the test drive for an interested team might be watching him play. But it does appear, at least it's been reported, that part of the reason he was inactive on Sunday is because they are trying to trade him. So I guess don't need to play him now. And if they have that's something.
Stephen, you're breaking up a little bit. We're going to reconnect with you in just a second. The Sony Michel compensation was looks like a 5th and a 6th rounder in 2022 that would convert to a 4th rounder if the Rams get a comp pick. So basically, it's Sony Michel for a 4th round pick. I assume Sony Michel is worth more considering he's not coming off of torn Achilles.
Correct. I would, again, I think that the reality and a realistic expectation would be like a 6th rounder. If you can get a 5th rounder, that'd be great. But I would say a late round pick, 1 pick.
Sorry, Stephen, we lost you a bit there. Anything else you had on that point?
Yeah, so that was my headphones. My bad. So anyway, yeah, I just think right now, if they have some legitimate interest, I think the odds are he probably will not play. Because if you think you're closing in on something, you're not going to screw that up. That's kind of how I see it. But no, if they don't have any real genuine interest, then they may have to consider putting them out there. I think that's kind of how I see it.
Stephen Holder from The Athletic not only covers the Colts, but a little national action as well for Stephen here on the Athletic website. Joins us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Stephen, Frank Reich said after the game on Sunday he felt like Carson Wentz was at 70 to 80%. What percentage did Carson Wentz look like to you?
I thought Frank was overestimating it. I thought it was 50, 60%, honestly. I mean, if you take away Carson Wentz's mobility, you just took away half of his game. You know what I mean? He's not Carson Wentz. And actually, I just posted a story on our site about, you were on that call, I believe, the other day, about the decision to play him and just playing injured players generally, right? How do you go about making that decision? When is it prudent to put an injured guy out there? Obviously, you have to determine that he can't further injure himself, and supposedly that was what the doctors determined. Okay, fine. I'm not a doctor either, so I'll give them that. But at some point, right, look, I get that their options are terrible. Jacob Eason, they have no confidence in him. I don't think I'm making any news by saying that. And Brett Hundley, there's a reason he hasn't thrown a freaking NFL pass in a couple of years, right? I mean, so I get that their options were terrible, but Carson Wentz, I mean, he just didn't have anything to give them. I mean, looking back at that play late in the fourth quarter where Jeffrey Simmons, it's the lead of my story, Jeffrey Simmons is closing in, I think against Ryan Kelly, and he kind of gets the drop on him. And so now Carson Wentz has to slide or at least climb the pocket. So he tries to step up a little bit, and he looks down the field, and it's open. I mean, he's got 20 yards of open green grass. And you know what he does? He takes like 2 steps, and he tosses the ball to Nyheim Hines to, like, save him because he can't run. I mean, it's an impossible situation. You actually make him a shell of himself by having to do that. And to think that guy that I saw on Sunday was a better option than the other ones is just, I mean, what does that say about your quarterback situation? I know everyone has already said this. It's just amazing. Every time I say it out loud, it's like I can't believe it. So I just thought he was, to your original question, I don't think 70 or 80 was even close. I think 50, 60% at best is where he was. Look, what people don't talk about is quarterback mechanics matter. Okay, we know that Tom House, the throwing expert who has worked with all of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, right? He worked with Andrew Luck extensively, and we became familiar with his work toward Andrew Luck's latter years. One of the things that he explained to Andrew Luck and Andrew explained to us is that his footwork was everything, and he had to marry his feet with his upper body and throwing motion. Well, Carson Wentz's feet are a mess right now, through no fault of his own, but they are. So that's why you saw him missing Michael Pittman, for example, on a potential touchdown, and really a lot of errant throws. I think it's really his inability to step into these throws. I mean, he's been pretty accurate this year. So, yeah, 70% is being very, very generous.
Steven, I'll obviously check your article out after the show, but I feel like, Frank said several times, well, Carson, said he was good to go and things like that. And I'm like, when do you eliminate the athlete and what he's actually saying? Of course Carson's going to say that. He knows how things unfolded in Philly. I thought the most honest Carson was throughout the whole game, and I find it fitting it happened after the game was over. The final drive, he gets hit a lot. He aggravated that ankle injury. You referenced the play where he doesn't scramble. He said in the postgame presser to you guys, that was probably the most limited I've ever been playing football. Like, that was the most honest you're ever going to get Carson Wentz. And that's where, if you're Chris Ballard, Frank should know, as an ex-player, of course he wants to get out there. But you got to protect the guy a bit, and now you have him aggravated, beat up, and you limited your playbook big time.
Well, that was my other point that I made is, okay, maybe he can't do further damage. I understand that on a technical basis, right? Like, so maybe the ligaments aren't torn or any of that. Okay, fine. Let's say that's true. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. You can't tell me, though, that it's going to feel better after playing the Tennessee Titans, right? So he clearly didn't feel better. So he's now worsened the ankle, at least in terms of how he felt going into the weekend. So now he's got to battle back for the Miami game. Now, he may be further ahead than he was the previous week, but he's not better than he was going into Sunday's game, right? That is impossible. So my point to you is sitting him would have, or I guess what benefit would there have been from sitting him in the subsequent weeks? You don't have a bye week until freaking December, okay? So I don't know. I thought it was a very odd situation. Frank Reich is so big on guys being ready to play, practicing an adequate amount, all of those things. We've seen him make exceptions, right? I mean, we've seen T.Y. Hilton in 2018 go out there and play on a high ankle sprain. I don't know how he did it. That was incredible. But T.Y. Hilton played incredible during that stretch. He played great. He did not look limited. This was not that.
Stephen, as you know, Stephen Holder's our guest, by the way, from The Athletic. You and I have had a lot of conversations where oftentimes I get way too Freudian and I read into things like around the corner, right? I think it drives you crazy.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
Yeah, I know. So,
welcome to my life for the next 5 days, Stephen.
Look, I have Q as an initial. I mean, come on. No, but let me ask you this.
Yep.
You were there on Saturday evening, I believe it was, in Nashville when Jim Irsay had like a lot of his memorabilia on display and then was doing Jimi Hendrix covers. But he spoke about Carson Wentz, and I believe you were right there, and he talked about his admiration for Carson Wentz as a player and how he's been a good teammate, but he tipped his hand a little bit into a frustration talking about Carson Wentz in terms of his reliability. To me, and this is what I want you to decipher on whether you think I'm out of line here or you think there's something to it. To me, that was Jim Irsay tipping his hand a little bit at a frustration on the lack of preparation for the team if Carson Wentz was not available and the situation they found themselves in by having to roll him out at less than 80%, for example. I thought it was Jim Irsay letting the world know, look, this is frustrating to me. Your thoughts?
Well, I think if at minimum, it was an acknowledgement that they don't have a good quarterback situation. Whether he was trying to send a message, look, I don't know, and whether it was sort of a veiled reference, look, we're trying to decipher Jim Irsay, so good luck with that. But I will say this, there's no question he can't be thrilled, and I that was my takeaway. He's not thrilled with the situation either. He even referenced vaccination status, right? And so it's all about Carson's availability. And he knows he's been in pro football longer than anybody else in that building, literally, right? So he knows. He understands this. People think Jim Irsay's sort of a space cadet, and I think we all have come to know that, like, the guy understands football. That's the one thing you cannot say about him. He's got his issues. He's different, right? He gets it, though. He knows it. And I thought the other thing is he gave more honesty on Saturday night than anybody else in the building has offered us ever throughout since the beginning of training camp, really. I thought we got more honesty about this team from him than anybody else. And it was good because as a fan, as a reporter, anybody who's observing this team, you see it, right? You see the defense not playing with intensity. You see the offensive line not playing to its potential. All of these things that we've all been saying, he just put them out there. He just said it. And I appreciate that about him, at least, that he can be honest. He can be the biggest fan in the world, but he can be honest about his team, and I appreciate that.
It's at Holder Steven on Twitter. Steven Holder covers the Colts and the NFL for The Athletic here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Steven, we aren't even 20% of the way through the season, and Jim Irsay understands that. When do you think there is the point, I guess what is the point where Jim Irsay looks at his operation right now, looks at this season and says to himself, screw the tough start, screw the it's a long season, this accountability must turn into some action? I don't know exactly what that action would be in Irsay's eyes, and I don't think that we're close to that, but when is that point of the season do you think that Irsay could start to have those conversations internally with his daughters, with whoever?
So I've thought about this, not like people getting fired, right? Because,
right.
First of all, it's just got 5-year extensions. Let's be serious.
I'd be stunned if that was the path that he goes down.
No, let me just be clear about this, right? Because I agree with you. Let me just say this. Things would have to get so much worse, like so much worse. And I don't think they're going down that road. I think they're going to figure something out. They'll salvage this season. I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs. I am not saying that. All I'm saying is I think they'll be a viable football team at some point if they get a little more healthy. Okay. But that being said, I think what you can do and what could happen is I think the questions that he asked might become more pointed, if that makes sense. And so. Remember, he said in that availability with us on Saturday night, he said, I want to tell the fans, look, all of the questions that you have, I want to assure you they're being asked. And they're being asked by him. That's what he means. And so I thought that was a good indication that he is in there, putting pressure on people. There's no question about that. He's not Jerry Jones, in there ranting and raving and telling people what to do. That's not what's happening. It's not his style, but he's asking a lot of tough questions. I think those questions may become more specific and more pointed, and at some point, you trust your people, but at some point, if you're not getting results, maybe that trust is then reduced, right? So that's kind of what I see, and I think for the coaching staff and front office to a lesser degree, I think if you continue to have players underperform and that sort of thing, I think you start with like lineup changes. I think if guys aren't going to get it done, then put them on the damn bench. You know what I mean? I don't know what kind of options they have, but who cares? If you're losing, you can lose with backups. So we'll see. If this continues, I think that's what you got to do next. You got to play other guys.
Stephen, fact or fiction? While disappointing, the Colts 0-3 start can be not dismissed, but explained or easier to swallow based on injuries and the competition of those three teams. But a loss to 1-2 Miami completely changes the trajectory of the narrative.
Fact. I actually agree with that. And I would say this. Nobody out there, if you're a really honest fan, you didn't expect this Colts team to have a winning record right now. Because I know I didn't, right? I thought 1-2 in the first 3 games, given what they were dealing with, you know what I'm saying, was probably realistic. Half the offense missed the entire training camp, right? So let's just be honest. It's not an excuse. It's a fact. While other teams were getting ready, those guys were sitting in the training room, right? So they weren't ready for the season. So I'm not stunned that they're 0-3. I am more stunned at at how they've gotten there. They haven't really been that competitive, I thought, at times, even though their best performance was against the best team, the Rams. Go figure. But I agree with you. Look, Jacoby Brissett averaged, I think, 4.3 yards per attempt on last Sunday against the Raiders.
That's awful.
I mean, come on, man. Come on. That is – do you know how much worse that is than he played here? That's so much worse than he played here. So much worse. I don't know if I've ever seen a number like that. So, I mean, the safety in the end zone after a completion because he completed the ball to a player in the end zone.
That's one of the worst plays I've ever seen a quarterback make. In all seriousness.
I mean, so Jalen Waddle was their shiny first-round pick. He had 12 catches on Sunday, 12 for like 56 yards. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a typo. I looked it up twice. It's true. So, look, I love Jacoby the guy. I mean, he's great in the community. He's an activist, all of that. And he's great for the NFL. But you can't lose to that. If he's going to play like that, you cannot lose. Absolutely cannot.
Dolphins currently favored by 1.5 for Sunday. Steven, I don't know what 1 o'clock will bring on Sunday, but I know you got to be looking forward to getting back home a little bit. So have fun on the trip. Safe travels down there, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
That's Stephen Holder right there from The Athletic on the Payless Liquors hotline. It's time for a Big O Tire Sports Center update.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
You surprised by that, Jake? 1.5 point favorites, Dolphins. I mean, pretty much a coin flip, I guess.
Yeah, that usually a coin flip game's even a field goal, right? So I would think that doesn't speak well, I guess, for the confidence in a non-mobile Carson Wentz, right? I would have thought, even if all things were given, if the Colts were healthy, I would think you go down there and you're probably a 5 to 7 point favorite, even though they're 0-3.
Yeah, I'd probably say 3 or 4, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
but
the Dolphins just are not. There's not a lot about them that's overly imposing, particularly when they don't have their starting quarterback.
No, not at all.
By the way, this YouTube, am I supposed to respond to people here? Is there a page where I'm supposed to see that people are sending me messages on YouTube? Am I on YouTube?
There are some commenters, and I will say good luck.
Yeah, I saw one guy said that I'm boring.
Greg Doyle engaged with them a lot. I believe he referred to them as betas. He called himself an alpha, so I don't know if you want to explore that at all.
Let me say that I don't know if I can do that. This is going to be a violation of the YouTube thing, I think. But so Bill, who said that I was boring, and that's cool. I mean, I can respect that, right?
Right.
317.
Oh boy.
523-9288. Now that's my cell phone number, and I always tell people, yeah, of course,
is that really your cell phone
and
number?
I always tell people, like, if they've got like issue, that's cool. So I always like to talk it out with people or text it out with them, so they can always reach me at 317-523-9288.
Gosh, that is actually your cell phone number.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best. That's the best. Like, that's what makes the world go round, is communicating with people.
That's a show first right there.
That is. Boy, the people person right here, Jake Query on the Fan Morning Show. We'll keep an eye on the Colts injury report today. Obviously, Quentin Nelson, that ankle sprain from Sunday. Braden Smith has missed the last 2 games. Those are 2 very important injuries. Doesn't sound like Carson Wentz will practice, but that was based off what Frank Reich said on Monday. We'll get an update a little bit later from Frank Reich. They did sign a safety to the practice squads. I think watch that position with injury-wise this week. The Pacers training camp underway. Their first practice yesterday. They're back on the floor today. No Karis LeVert. He is seeking a second opinion. The Pacers didn't call it the minor stress fracture that Adrian Wojnarowski called it. Basically just some pain in the back of Karis LeVert. And boy, I feel this way about Marlon Mack, but Karis LeVert on a bigger extent, Jake. Like, that dude just needs to catch a break.
Yeah. I look, like I said earlier, I read somewhere with Karis LeVert, minor back fracture. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
Is that possible? Yeah. I mean, how is that possible? Really intrigued to see what he can do in a full season healthy. Not only for Karis LeVert's sake, but just for so many of the pieces that I think feed off of what they want to do with him.
Yeah, him with the back, TJ Warren with the foot. Those are just injuries I feel like that linger. And obviously Warren's lingered big time.
Yeah.
And, we can get into this more in the coming days, Jake, but you look at this schedule, and Rick Carlisle has acknowledged it several times. It is a very difficult schedule early in the year. Couple that with, I think the Eastern Conference has got more depth than the West. And for a team that obviously, in Rick's words, hasn't been relevant enough in recent years, it's just a critical part, late October, early November, to the schedule.
Hey, Jake, you remember the parking issue at the Colts game a few years ago when you moved our chairs to park? No, au contraire here. There were people who had lawn chairs.
Wait, is this Bill? Is Bill texting
No,
you?
this is not Bill. This is somebody else. These guys had lawn chairs out trying to reserve a spot. And I'm like, come on, man. You can't reserve a spot because your buddies eventually come with lawn chairs.
Is this Augusta National?
We did have words, but I did not take their spot. I was like, all right, fine. And then, yeah, exactly. This is not the Carmel 4th of July parade. You can't reserve your spot. So, and then I think, if I'm not mistaken, they offered me a beer, or later, I think the next game I brought them some beers, I think.
There you go.
I think.
Well, that's
It was a couple of years ago, though. That was a while ago.
Citizenship award for Jake Query right there. College football Saturday night. IU at Penn State, 7:30 on ABC. IU obviously starting their Big Ten divisional slate after playing Iowa in the opener. When you look at that slate, I know Ohio State isn't at that peak level, Jake, but I feel like the rest of the division much better than we saw last year. Michigan, Penn State, hell, even Rutgers, Michigan State.
I'm still not completely sold on on Penn State. And I think
Auburn win wasn't impressive enough.
I don't know.
You think 13.5 is too much?
Yeah, I do. I don't think Indiana. I really felt like Indiana needed to get one of those two, though, between Iowa and Cincinnati. They had to get one of those two, and they didn't. I don't know. I'm just not overly. I just don't find Penn State I still think Ohio State's really, really good. I mean, I know that Oregon went in there and got that win, but I think Ohio State's really good. I don't. My personal belief is Ohio State does not lose between now and the playoffs.
Obviously, some revenge on the line there with Penn State and IU after last year's game and how it ended. Some revenge for Purdue on Saturday with how that game versus Minnesota, controversial pass interference call in the end zone up in Minneapolis last year. Purdue will now get the Gophers in West Lafayette. Quarterback questions for both teams. Obviously, the David Bell question. You really hope that he's back healthy. Purdue does have a bye next week, and then they're at Iowa. But still, this is such a critical game when you're talking about trying to get to 6 wins.
And there's that balance too. When you're talking about David Bell, who's a phenomenal talent, obviously, but when you're dealing with concussions and you know you have the bye, does that tempt Purdue to err on the side of caution? Can't blame them if that's the route they decide to go.
Notre Dame putting their 26-game home win streak on the line. They are an underdog right now to Cincinnati. Jack Cohn, it sounded like, did practice yesterday as Notre Dame sifts through their quarterback injuries and getting ready for Desmond Ridder and the Bearcats. Other marquee games college football-wise this weekend. Honestly, Friday night, number 5 Iowa at Maryland. Iowa only favored by 3.5 there. And then two big ones in the SEC. Number 8 Arkansas at number 2 Georgia. Number 12 Ole Miss at number 1 Alabama. Despite both of those top 15 matchups, Georgia and Alabama overwhelming favorites, really against two teams that have had great starts, but I think everyone's wondering
Georgia's
how for real
front
are they.
four is unbelievable defensively. Georgia's really, really good.
Is that a reference to your Tigers losing to them?
Well, no, just in general, man. I'm telling you, their defense is unreal. I have a question for you. Are Bearcats real? Do we know this? Is that a real animal, or is that like a Jayhawk and a Billiken?
That's a great question. We were asking earlier in the week. I was referencing that Carson Wentz, he would have struggled against an alligator because he couldn't do the zigzag thing you're supposed to do against alligators. I can't say I've ever come across a Bearcat.
Bearcats are real.
Are they really?
There's apparently one at the Cincinnati Zoo. You can go see.
Great zoo.
No, wait a minute. But Cincinnati's the home of the Bearcats. Is it possible that's a bobcat and they just called a Bearcat because it's in Cincinnati?
Been too wrong.
That's okay.
We might need you to head down 74 after the show and see what you can find and come back to us.
Been too wrong. See, they're admitting right there that's not really a Bearcat. That's like a bobcat. Yeah. They call him wrong for that reason. If he was in like the Memphis Zoo, I'd believe it. But it's in the Cincinnati Zoo and they're the Bearcats. Do we know that
why
this
in the Memphis Zoo?
He's also available at the San Diego Zoo.
City outside of Cincinnati.
Got it.
He's at the San Diego Zoo, too.
There you go.
He is? Okay.
Yeah. Well. Two of the best zoos in the U.S.
That's okay. Maybe they are real. I thought it was fictional. I'm still not sold.
Moving over to Major League Baseball. The Cardinals have won 17 in a row. Do you have a baseball team?
Grew up a huge Reds fan. Covered the Cardinals.
Really?
And
I
have a
didn't know
great
that.
respect for the tradition and the history of the St. Louis Cardinals. But
yeah, I have jealousy more than respect, unfortunately. I need to get over that.
Are you a Cubs fan?
Reds.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm a Reds fan, too.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
Yep. They are dead. To quote Greg Rakestraw, they have died like dogs.
But
the
hey,
Reds. They're officially eliminated.
500 season, Kevin.
Oh, gosh.
Take the victories where you can.
Right, nothing like all the hope it's September 1st, and here you are, eliminated. Cardinals with the third longest streak right now in Major League Baseball history. 4 teams have clinched in the NL, 2 in the AL. That's where the drama is. The Yankees up 2 for that top wildcard spot. The Red Sox currently have the final one. Mariners just a half game back. Blue Jays a full game back as the final week of the regular season is here. I saw Nathan Brown had this yesterday for the Indy Star. Jake, the most watched, obviously we listen a whole lot to you, but the most watched IndyCar season in 5 years.
Yeah, I think being on Big NBC helped a lot with that. And then next year, they're going to be on NBC primarily with 2 races on USA and 1 on Peacock. So that is good. Anytime that you can get an NBC did a really good job of putting them in a position to be able to get huge numbers comparatively to years past because of where they were.
Yeah, awesome to see the momentum build there. Q chimes in, goes, I'm in Cincinnati now. I'll see what I can find out about the Bearcats. So
thank you.
It's good. We've got boots on the ground there, Q. Thank you.
We got a zoologist on the air.
Thank you. We'll send you a stipend for that. So I appreciate the effort there. We come back on the Fan Morning Show's Jake Query, Kevin Bowen. We'll get Jake's thoughts on the whole draft pick dilemma with Carson Wentz. See if that needs to be explored at all and possibly sitting him. And there was some stuff Jeff Saturday said earlier in the week with us that I want to throw at Jake as well. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's JMV for the brand new CarX Tire and Auto at 455 East Northfield Drive in Brownsburg with a grand opening special including lifetime brakes for $109.99. CarX.com today. JMV here for Aurora Sleep. You can stop snoring now and start sleeping better, just like I did. Visit StopYourSnoreNow.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Siri, read me that text.
Sorry, I can't complete your request.
You want me to read that?
No, I got it.
Construction zone.
I see it.
Watch it. Oh my God. You're gonna hit him!
Oh, fuck!
When driving in a construction zone, be smart, be alert, be in the zone.
This is Ward Daniels, business manager of Labor's Local 120. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, open your eyes, pay attention.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
These are the final days, the final hours of Diamonds Direct's incredible finance offer. You have until Saturday at 6 p.m. to take advantage of 5 years zero-interest financing. That's on any purchase. Buy now. Spread your payments over 5 whole years with zero interest. Response has been incredible, but this amazing offer comes to an end on Saturday and will not be extended. Don't miss the year's best buying opportunity at Diamonds Direct. 5 years zero interest through Saturday at 6 p.m. Get directions, details, and more now at DiamondsDirect.com.
The first bet on Caesars Sportsbook app is up to $5,000 risk-free, people. When I told my team about the idea, they said I was being too wonderful and magnificent. But I don't care how awesome this makes me. I'm doing this for the people. So just download the app, and that first bet is up to $5,000 risk-free. Caesar made an app for the people.
Must be 21. Offer valid in Indiana only and for new players. Paid in bet credits. Terms and conditions apply. See Caesars.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Exmark makes the mowers that care for the lawns, that set the stage for the backyard life. As the commercial mowers more landscape pros trust, Exmark mowers get you on and off the lawn without compromising cut quality, comfort, or reliability. Exmark, official mowers of the backyard life. Check out end-of-season pricing on Exmark mowers and stand-on aerator rentals right now at Midstate Truck Equipment on Allisonville Road in Fishers. Midstate Truck Equipment, 800-540-4479.
There's Pablo in his natural habitat, opening his internet bill in fear. He just saw his 12-month promotional price ended. Uh-oh, and he just discovered the equipment fees. Back away slowly.
If your internet bill drives you wild, just remember, you're not a bad person. You just need a straightforward price. Get AT&T Fiber. Unlimited internet with no price increase at 12 months. Visit att.com/no hidden fees. Limited availability in select areas.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
Mike Woodson, the head man at Indiana. What are the things that you guys have emphasized most in practice?
Defense comes first. If you build a good defensive team, when you're not making shots, your defense can hold you in there long enough until you start making shots. And if you don't make shots, your defense can still hold you in there and give yourself a chance to win down the stretch.
Dan Dakich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jake Query alongside this morning, and for the next 5 days here on the Fan Morning Show. You got 5 days, Jake. I think that's the longest of anybody so far.
I think it'd be the next 4, right? 5 total.
5 total, yes,
correct.
4. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be something, right?
Well, I don't have anything else to do. So I was very flattered they asked me to do so. Honestly, Kevin, let me say this. I appreciate you letting me come in to do it. And I appreciate them asking me because, I do love Indianapolis. It's always cool to be down here and to see to be on the circle and to be able to talk to Indianapolis is cool. I do have a great love for the city of Indianapolis. And so to be able to come in here and be asked and have the opportunity to come in and talk with you is cool.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the things I've admired about you the most. We haven't had a ton of interaction over the years. You come on your guys' show a couple times back in the day, but seeing your passion for the city of Indianapolis and just surrounding areas and whatnot, it's always something that kind of I gravitate towards and wanting to listen to you and Derek and whatnot. So happy to have you in here and looking forward to the next 5 days. Against at Jake Query on Twitter. He gave his cell phone number last segment if you want to dial him up there.
Well, and again,
any text so far? Anybody chiming in besides move the chairs at Lucas Oil?
Well, the guy that said that I moved the chairs said, no, actually you did bring us a 6-pack of beer. See, I knew I wasn't hallucinating on this, right? Somebody else said, can you tell your Jerry Jones handshake story? That's the greatest story ever. I need a good laugh.
Oh, gosh.
So, we can shelf that for later if you'd like. We got 4 days, right?
Yeah, let's save that for the final day when maybe I'm tired of you.
Yeah, well, that could be tomorrow, right? Somebody says, hey, Jake, I think personally the Colts have said that they don't want the vaccination story to be a distraction, yet when you think about it, it's got to be difficult to gel when some players are constantly having to worry about who they can talk to, where they sit, etc. I just think personally that might have split things and it has to have an impact. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I disagree. When the guys are off the field and away from the team, that is impactful, but if I'm saying the Colts having a low-ish vaccination rate is a reason why they've led for 5 minutes out of 180 this year, I'm not putting that very high on the list.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think it's an interesting theory. What the Colts, here's the thing. The vaccination thing, and again, I know that's a whole can of worms, right? What it does is it allows, if things don't go well, for scrutiny to be compounded. It gives...
Yeah.
It is
it's an excuse sitting there.
Correct. And so that then, if things don't go well, which they have not so far, then you are allowing for outside sources to have bait to take on why things have not gone well for you.
I just don't think it's bait. I don't know. I look at a 3rd and 10 against the Titans on Sunday, and nobody seems to recognize the running back coming out of the backfield, and that to me is a banged-up Darius Leonard and a defense right now that just isn't executing. I don't think it necessarily has to do with, Darius Leonard's not vaccinated. Oh, good. There's questions about Kari Willis and his vaccination status. Oh, Bobby Okereke is. Oh, Kenny Moore is. I'm not going there.
How about this from Mark? Hey, guys, can you get your stat guy to look up the record for backup quarterbacks in the league? Do you guys have a stat guy?
Well, no. Well, I guess
Scott
maybe
Johnston,
Scotty,
right?
Yeah, Scotty will be up here in half hour or so maybe we can get him to look into that. My guess is not very good.
I just got a glimpse at Scotty Johnson's pop quiz, which is going to be coming up at 9:30, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. What do you think?
Well, he's clearly a stat guy. I mean, it involves questions about the 1913 Boston Bruins, I think, right?
If you give away too many answers, Scotty's not going to be happy with you. But Scotty's quiz is brutal. And I'm looking at it right now. It's, absolutely brutal. He's Jake Query. I'm Kevin Bowe, and this is the Fan Morning Show. We were debating a little bit yesterday, and Joe asked this question. If the Colts start 0-5, do you then think about saving Carson Wentz to save the first-round draft pick? And just to remind people again, you give up your first-rounder and send that to Philly if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps this season, or he plays 70% and you make the playoffs. Obviously, that is a little bit of a long shot as we sit here with the Colts at 0-3. Through 3 weeks, Jake, he has played 97% of the snaps. When is that? And that's kind of a question I guess I threw at Stephen Holder. When is that threshold for where either Jim Irsay decides some action needs to be taken, or even, I guess, Jim Irsay or Chris Ballard decide that, all right, Carson needs to sit for X amount of weeks because we got to think about that 2022 draft pick?
Well, I do think that that's an interesting variable to it. Of do you monitor the snaps? I don't know, Kevin. One would think that there has to be some sort of a language in there that has to be. How do you determine performance or health based or whatever else? Otherwise.
Well, I think it's all of it. He was benched for performance last year.
Correct, but I'm saying I don't know the languages in a clause of a trade like that. In other words, because it does make you wonder. When I was in high school, I figured out the second semester of my junior year how many D's I could get and still graduate with a 2.5, right? So do the Colts look at it and say, well, how many snaps can we rest him so that he takes 74.8% and we get our pick back? Are there things in there, contingencies that has to be disclaimed that it was, he was on the injury list that particular week or, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. But if they go 0-5, I think it certainly is something strategically. If there is no variable in terms of you don't have to have any proof of why you rested the guy, if they start 0-5, doesn't it have to come into play? But then the question becomes, who takes your snaps? You have a backup quarterback that you don't trust. Who takes your? At that point, clearly you're not trying to win games anyway, right?
You start 0-5. I in my mind, still, there's no way Frank Reich or Chris Ballard go down that road. I think it'd have to be Jim Irsay get involved.
And you don't think that's a possibility? I will agree. He's been seemingly fairly hands off over the course of the years, but
when does it come into play? Like the whole mathematically eliminated. What type of message are you sending to the rest of the team?
Right. Understood.
Now, some might say, screw that. Your first-round pick means a whole lot more versus a second-round pick, things like that. So I just think the disaster scenario, Jake, is Wentz misses 3 games, still meets 75%. He looks okay. So you sit there at the end of the year, and you're debating whether Carson Wentz is the answer or not.
Okay.
He's missed some games, and then all of a sudden you've got the 10th overall pick because you went 7-10, and that gets sent to Philadelphia.
I think around Halloween is the real benchmark here, and let me tell you why. Look at the schedule at Miami. Then you go at Baltimore. Not an easy game, right? After that, though, you got the Texans at home. They should be okay there, right?
Jeez, you would hope. Short week.
At San Fran, not easy. And then at home against Tennessee. My point being, there is potential there for the roof to cave in. And then you got the Jets and the Jags, where seemingly you could roll out with a Jacob Eason and at least be competitive, right?
Well, maybe Brett Hundley, but yeah.
That's
the Titans have the Jets and the Jags right now.
At some point,
if there's going to be separation in this division, I think this is when we could see it.
At some point, don't you need to see what you have in Jacob Eason?
Oh, without a doubt. I feel like NFL franchises are so scared to throw that young quarterback into the fire, afraid of what it might look like.
Oh, not only that, Kevin, this is the thing. You look right now at young quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's just take this year, okay? Did you see what Fields did with Chicago? Now, granted, the Bears apparently have redone their playbook because they had Justin Fields running a totally different system, and now they're going to have a new system that was catered to Justin Fields.
And their offensive line is horrible.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Pick city, right? It's like Peyton Manning talked about when he was a rookie. He was trying to make too many plays. He was forcing things. He's throwing interceptions. My point being, look at what's going on in New York with the Jets. No matter how promising a young quarterback is, even the most promising of prospects, there's a huge learning curve. So for Jacob Eason, that learning curve apparently is so steep just to be able to trust him to take a snap. So then once they put him out there, then how many games is it going to take before they feel confident enough that he can be a competent backup? I mean, it's taken 16 games, well now I guess 19 games, of him just holding a clipboard, and that's not seeing live action. So at what point are you going to feel comfortable enough to put him into live action?
Yeah. I think going back to that
game 35?
Right, to that disaster scenario that I brought up earlier, throw Jacob Eason into that mix. If all of a sudden you get to the end of the season and you have been too afraid to put Jacob Eason into a game, so now you're sitting there in the the big board meeting after the season, and it's time to evaluate how 2021 went, and you're unsure about Carson Wentz, and you didn't throw Jacob Eason into the mix. That might be a bigger miss than going 7-10.
How long had he been on the roster before you were fully convinced that he's not related to Tony Eason? Every time I hear Jacob Eason's name, I think, now this is Tony Eason's kid, right?
Because there's a Notre Dame connection. And then, wasn't there another Eason that was a quarterback?
Well, Tony Eason,
but his dad was a wideout, Jacob's dad. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's right. He's no relation to... Tony Eason is the only quarterback in Super Bowl history to start a Super Bowl and not complete a pass. Didn't go well for him against the Bears in 85. And so the 85 Bears, 86 Super Bowl. For like the first 3 years that I'd ever heard Jacob Eason's name, from the time that he was a huge recruit at Georgia and then at Washington, I thought, oh, Tony Eason's got a kid. This is what happens when you get older, Kevin. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be, you mark my words, someday you're going to be gray in the temples like me, and there's going to be some quarterback somewhere named Jimmy Wentz, and you're going to be, Carson Wentz has a kid in the NFL. That's cool.
I did that earlier this year with the Purdue quarterback. I assumed it was Jake Plummer's son.
Correct. That's a big one, right?
He's from Arizona. I'm like, come on. I mean,
totally, right?
Let's sneak in Scotty. Scotty's been hanging on the lines for a few minutes. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Jeff. How's it going?
Good.
So, couple things. I mean,
hey Scotty, did you say Jeff?
Oh, is it not Jeff?
It's Jeff. It's all the same. Jeff.
Jimmy. Jeff's Jimmy.
Jeff used to be on the show.
Jimmy.
All right, damn act together.
Right out of the box. Right. I appreciate you helping out and me trying to show that I've got some name recognition in this town. Thank you very much.
What do you got, Scotty?
So, back in August in preseason, I brought it up on your podcast. Look, they had poor O-line. They had the bad QB situation, and the defense looked like garbage. And, yes, it was backups, but you could tell there was something wrong. I mean, I can't believe they couldn't see that. And another thing, they've lost so many leaders. You've got Houston, Walker, Brissett, Rivers, T.Y. being injured. This team does not look ready to go game in, game out. Then the coaching staff apparently cannot get them pumped for game time, or at least excited about game time. They just look flat. And the injuries, I mean, where's strength and conditioning? Where's that at? Because we've been injured since training camp and it's a year in, year out issue. The Rams, no injuries. Titans had a few last game. I mean, this team needs to look up top to bottom of what's going on, and they need to fix it, at least for next season.
Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate that. We're kind of up against this, so we'll hit on a little bit of that when we come back. Obviously, there's a lot of truth to what he just said right there, and I think it's a massive, massive time in the Frank Reich tenure here that he is about to encounter, as the Colts are 0-3 with 2 more games on the road. Jake Query's with us, Kevin Bowe and Mark Dykton, Fan Morning Show, 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Sandra, tell me your favorite thing about Indiana high school sports.
Well, Chris, as a fellow IHSA assistant commissioner, I don't know if I can choose just one. Tell me, what's yours?
It's the little victories, the day-to-day achievements of student athletes, the real character-building stuff.
Absolutely. One of mine as well. All the hard work off the court, the field, the mat, the deck, those defining moments during practices that the crowd never sees.
Exactly. And we don't celebrate those victories enough.
We don't. And there's an even bigger victory we need to celebrate.
That's right. We welcome fans back to high school sporting events across Indiana.
So, buy a ticket to your high school's next athletic event. The schools and student athletes deserve your support.
They need you in the stands now more than ever.
This is your team. This is your community. This is your IHSAA.
Bet Rivers Sportsbook is ready to make this football season one to remember. All season long, you can score at Bet Rivers Sportsbook with free bets, odds boosts, and more. With player props, thousands of game lines, and live in-game betting, Bet Rivers Sportsbook delivers a best-in-class sports betting experience and has an experienced customer service team to back it up. Visit Bet Rivers Sportsbook today and bet this football season with a local trusted team that puts you first. Go to BetRivers.com and be a winner. Partner of French Lick Casino Resort. Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
You know, in the Bowen household, we've got a lot of fall birthdays that lead right into holiday season. So trying to save money is alive and well this time of year. And I think I speak for a lot of people, frankly. Luckily, I've got some great friends over at Golden Oak Lending who have helped me save in that exact area over the past year. The good folks over at Golden Oak Lending are ready to help right now and get you refinanced today. Golden Oak's experienced local loan officers make refinancing and buying a breeze, guiding you through every step to ensure you never get lost in jargon and numbers. Even if you haven't done anything to your house, your home's value has increased in the last year alone, giving you the opportunity to use that equity to finish a home project, pay off credit cards, or even consolidate bills. No matter your unique situation or goals, you have an expert lending partner for life in Golden Oak Lending. Head to goldenoaklending.com right now to see what your home equity can do for you. NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Are you an HVAC technician, plumber, or sewer and drain specialist? Are you dissatisfied with your current employer? Have you been laid off or had your hours reduced now that the busy season is ending? Then call Vasey Commercial Facility Solutions. They're hiring experienced industrial commercial technicians. Get full benefits and true work-life balance. Call Vasey now at 317-873-2512. That's Vasey, 317-873-2512. Or go to Vasey.com to learn more.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/Peaks-Club. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Official sponsor of IU Athletics. Get Wendy's bacon or sausage, egg, and Swiss breakfast croissant for $1.99. This hot buttery croissant is fluffy enough to sleep on. Wakey, wakey, get a better breakfast for just $1.99. Only at Wendy's.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Third-party delivery prices may vary. Not valid in the combo. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Listen on air, online at 1075thefan.com, and on our free app at Google Play and on the App Store. You're listening to The Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Jeff Rabjohn's join us here in about 10 minutes or so to talk IU's big one on Saturday night in Happy Valley. Chris Stenary, around 9:30, 9:45, chat about Karis LeVert and the injury situation as the Pacers are less than a week away from their preseason opener. We got Jake Query in studio with us. Mark wanted to bring up how backup quarterbacks in most cases do not matter. Why spend so much time discussing it this morning? To me, Jake, I think when you see Jacob Eason, he's different than other potentially different than other backup quarterbacks. Of a guy you referenced earlier, at points in his collegiate career, was thought to be a first-round draft pick. So you have these unteachable traits. You spent a 4th-round pick on him. It's not like you spent a 7th-round pick on him. You knew development was going to be there. Can you tap into that development and see if you have something there? Like, can this guy turn into whatever? Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. I'm trying to think of these other guys that haven't been first-round picks. Obviously, it's a long shot, but you took the guy for a reason. Frank Reich's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer. See what you got.
I've always said, and I've said it on these airwaves many times, so I don't mean to be redundant, but backup quarterbacks are like your donut tire in your car. They're a spare tire that are designed to get you to the next exit or the next availability to get your tire replaced. So Mark is correct. If we were talking about handing the reins over to a backup quarterback for the rest of the season to try to contend for the playoffs, that's not going to work. The point simply being, theoretically, the Colts are in a situation, or were in a situation last weekend, where they needed a donut tire to get them through a game instead of a quarterback with not one but 2 bad ankles. And the fact that they were not able to do that because seemingly they did not have anybody ready to take those snaps, and as a result had to compromise a guy by putting him out there when he was not able to play at 75%, is a symptom or a sign of some structural problems within the franchise itself, at least in that situation, and that's why it's a story.
And to me, it's different, I guess to take your tire analogy a step further, it's different. Jacob Eason's not a donut tire. Jacob, donut tires or whatever.
I don't know if you know this or not, Kevin, but any of them that you buy at Big O Tires, you're good to go. It doesn't matter, right? Donut tire or primary.
I think Big O has already made their vote for future co-host here. Brett Hundley would be the equivalent of that. Veteran experience, blah, blah. You're a little bit mobile. You're just trying to get by with him. Eason falls into the category more so of, is there something more there? That is what the intrigue of a guy that you've given all these reps to. He's flashed the big arm. Frank Reich.
He's got all the intangibles, right?
Right. Frank has talked about there's unteachable stuff with Jacob Eason. He's never said there's unteachable stuff with Sam Ehlinger, with Brett Hundley. Like, there's something more there. So I think that's why you got to classify Eason differently than you do Hundley, Charlie Whitehurst, whatever else the Colts have had in the backup category. And frankly, Hundley, he doesn't even have a Matt Hasselbeck resume.
Could it be, and I don't know, I know nothing of Jacob Eason in terms of him as a guy. Could it be that he just that he can't read defenses, and that he got by for so long on that the strength of that arm that now they don't trust his decision-making in situations against a live NFL defense?
That certainly could be part of it. I just look at what he did in the preseason, Jake, and I thought to myself, all right, that wasn't bad. It wasn't incredible.
Didn't blow you away, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't god awful. Oh my gosh, he's thrown 3 picks and completed 40% of his passes. He never deserves to get a chance. You will never. There's so many steps. I've mentioned this before. No position in sports is more different from practice than a game than playing quarterback. No position. You literally wear a different color jersey. The jump from the preseason to the regular season.
The jump from college to the pros.
Yeah,
right?
These are massive, massive jumps. But until you see that person jump,
right,
you never really know. So I think that's where the debate is a little bit different when we're talking Eason versus Hundley. He's Jake Query. I'm Kevin Bowen. We come back here on the Fan Morning Show. Jeff Rabjohns from Peegs.com looking into IU. Do they have a chance? That line has jumped to nearly 2 touchdowns in Happy Valley. Jake thinks it's too big. We'll get Jeff's thoughts on that. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
It's the Tennessee Titans 25, the Colts 16.
0-3, and the heat is on. Now the Colts head to South Beach to meet up with an old friend.
Jacoby Brissett under center for the Dolphins.
Our boys in blue look to right the season as they take on the Miami Dolphins. It all starts Sunday morning at 10. Kickoff with Matt Taylor at 1 o'clock.
Touchdown, Naeem Hines. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y.
You're home for Colts football. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
For 20 years, our brave service members have been fighting the fight over in Afghanistan to keep us safe here in the U.S. As our troops are coming home, every business should be finding ways to thank and honor them for their service. We created the Hero Loan. We pay for your appraisal, secure you a mortgage rate up to a full point lower than other loans, and work our tails off to get your VA loan closed in as little as 14 days. HeroLoan.com, the only way to VA. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hi, we're OfferPad, the new way homes are sold. Go to OfferPad.com, tell us about your home, and we'll send you a great cash offer. Or, if that's not your style, we can also list your home with tons of free OfferPad services, free handyman fixes, house cleaning, yard work, and more to get your home show ready. We can even advance renovation costs to maximize your home's value. Whatever way you want to sell, you're sold with OfferPad. Sell your way today at OfferPad.com. Terms and conditions apply. Real estate brokerage services provided by OfferPad Brokerage LLC. Equal housing opportunity.
I was watching the Ryder Cup this past weekend, and while I wish it wasn't true, my days of carrying the old golf bag, probably maybe a handful of times a year. Big reason for that is after a round when I do carry, I'm feeling like Carson Wentz, pain all over my body, and this is why I'm listening more and more to our great friends over at QC Kinetics. At QC Kinetics, you are getting new therapies, advanced, all-natural, regenerative treatments that can not only just give you relief, but also can restore and repair damaged tissue so you can have lasting relief. If you've got joint pain due to arthritis, knee pain, hip pain, even shoulder pain, don't just think the old ways of dealing with pain are the only ways. You need to learn more about these new biological therapy solutions. Call now for a free consultation. That's QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and help restore tissue. They actually encourage your body to heal itself. Call now and learn more about these regenerative and revolutionary alternatives. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's The Fan Morning Show.
If we die together.
Yeah, right.
You can get it done. You can get it done. What's more, you gotta get it done.
With Kevin Bowen.
Oh, baby!
On 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Welcome in. Final hour of the Fan Morning Show. Jake Query and myself, Kevin Bowen, the rest of this week, and again Monday and Tuesday. Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline. We were asking earlier, when is the last time IU has been on primetime ABC on Saturday night? Maybe this man will have the answer. He's Jeff Rabjohns. Covers IU football and basketball, all things Indiana for Peegs.com. You got any idea on that, Jeff? The last time we've seen IU in this marquee ABC Saturday night primetime slot?
I know it's been a number of years, but I need to look that up. That's a good reminder. I don't have specifics on that in front of me. Sorry about that.
No, all good there. Are you, the line was 9.5 at the start of the week. I don't know how much you pay attention to that stuff. It's jumped to 13.5. I don't think there's been like an injury. I guess the DJ Matthews injury, officially the year over there, but I don't think there's been anything like along those lines that would cause the line to really jump. What do you think has contributed to that?
I think there's an enormous amount of money getting bet on the 9.5 early line. So I think Vegas had to kind of adjust it to try to get some money on the other side. I think that's part of it. And I also think, just an objective analysis of where the two teams are. Penn State's playing unbelievably well. I mean, the way they're playing right now, they're a legit contender to make the playoffs. Not saying they will or won't, but the way they're playing right now, they're at least one of those teams you look at and say they got a real shot. They're tremendous. They've got that defense. They have big time playmakers on the D lines, in their linebacking core, and in the secondary. I mean, I think I think Indiana's going to have some trouble scoring points, up in Happy Valley.
I look, Jeff, and I saw Tom Allen after the game give a lot of credit to Michael Penix and the way that he was able to bounce back. And I realized that Indiana, it's not like last week they went in and won at Penn State, but still, you got to take what you can get to kind of right the ship a little bit. And Penix clearly had not played well through 3 games for Indiana. Do you think Tom Allen, in any way, shape, or form, contemplated moving away from Penix and getting Tuttle back in there? I think Allen deserves a lot of credit, and Penix does as well, for sticking by that. But do you think Allen was tempted at all to go away from Penix? And B, do you think Penix turned the corner and now we're going to start seeing more of the pre-injury Michael Penix?
I don't get the vibe that Allen ever seriously considered going away from Penix. I'm sure internally they had coaching conversations, which is normal. Anytime somebody's not playing well, you go through and, okay, what are our best options, guys? So conversations head coaches have with their assistants. I don't think there was a serious consideration of going away from Michael Penix. Tom Allen has an enormous amount of confidence in Penix, really believes in him. And the other thing about Penix is I think sometimes when people hear he's cleared to play, they think he's going to be the same player he was. And that's not necessarily true. Cleared to play, as you guys know, just means medically he is cleared to participate in his sport. There's no evaluation of performance level or even ability level. And when guys come back from injuries, usually, you see drop-offs. And Penix not only had one ACL, he had two ACLs, and he had that sternoclavicle injury. And we've seen that injury really, hamper even really good pro players. Ben Roethlisberger, sternoclavicle, I think I'm saying it right. Some doctor's probably going to yell at me if I'm not.
Sounds right to me.
Sounds good.
He had the sternoclavicle injury, and when he came back, he had one of his lowest passer ratings of his entire career. And here's a guy who's been all-pro, been to Super Bowls, that kind of thing. So you take Michael Penix, a college kid, and you go, okay, you're going to have to go through the sternoclavicle, then you're going to have to go through an ACL, then you're going to have to go through another ACL. That is a lot to try to come back from in a span of about 25, 26 months. So I think with Penix, some of what we're seeing is he had to spend so much time on rehab. He didn't really have the normal amount of time in the offseason to work on skills, to work on skill development, just to keep things fine-tuned. I mean, we all saw how many specific drills Peyton Manning did to keep his play at a certain level, such repetition. And when that repetition goes away, there is a little bit of diminishment of skills. Now, you can get it back, certainly, with practice with the repetition. But I think that's a little bit of what we're happening with Penix. And I tell you that long, boring story to get to this point. I believe I get the very strong vibe. That's what Tom Allen is looking at. And Tom Allen sees in his mind a guy who had to do all the rehab, and the ability still there. Now he's going to be able to get the repetition in during the season. And I think that's why Tom Allen is still highly confident in Michael Penix.
Jeff RapJohnsPeaks.com joins us here on the Fan Morning Show. A big one Saturday night in Happy Valley for IU. Kind of going off that point, Jeff, do you classify this right now with Penix as this is a guy still knocking off rust, or maybe the hope is that he's still knocking off rust? Or to your other point, is this just kind of the new Michael Penix, where we are going to see some inconsistencies? It's not going to be maybe that top flight level we saw second half Ohio State, other games in recent past. Kind of where are we right now, do you think, with Michael Penix and maybe what his ceiling is as a quarterback?
That's a great question, and I don't know exactly where we're at, and because we have yet to see the Mike Penix that we saw in the top moments, like you mentioned, the second half against Ohio State, the guy who completed 20 passes in a row at Michigan State a couple years ago, the guy who the Michael Penix fourth quarter against Penn State last year, those kind of situations. We haven't seen that guy yet. And when you come back from injury, I think that's a little bit of the question. What has the ceiling changed? And that's what we don't know yet. We'll find out here over the next few games. He's not going to hit his ceiling out in Happy Valley. That's not even. I mean, again, this Penn State defense is quite impressive. So Saturday, I hate to say it, but it's almost like for Indiana, it's like, yeah, go give it your best shot. But, if you walk out of there healthy, you still got winnable games in front of you. So I don't think we're going to see Penix, hit his ceiling against Penn State. Now, if he does, hello, that would be very impressive. And maybe IU has a chance for some sort of, upset miracle. But I think we're going to find out later in the year. whether or not Penix's ceiling is still where it was earlier in his career or not. Because, he's been fortunate. I mean, he's gone through a lot. To say somebody's fortunate when they've had 3 significant injuries might be a little bit, poor term on my part. But, that left arm is still a laser. I mean, he can still – there's so many passes he can complete, even when he's throwing and leaning back. There's sometimes he'll just snap that arm, and the shoulder doesn't even come through the hips. It's like he'll let go of the ball, and you hit pause, and you're like, the angle of the body is backward. He can just fire. He's still got velocity. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's how well he can play is going to be certainly a storyline for the rest of the season for Indiana.
Jeff Rabjohns is our guest here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Reminder, you can hear more about IU football inside IU football tonight on this station at 7:05 p.m. Jeff, in terms of Indiana going into Happy Valley, let's talk defensively. We talked a lot about Michael Penix now, but is Indiana where they want to be defensively, both from a health and a schematic standpoint? How do you assess what Indiana's done so far through 4 games on the defensive side?
I think they're pretty healthy, and schematically not a lot has changed. I think one of the things that they're trying to find is their ability to get turnovers. That's a big thing with the way Tom Allen builds his defense. One of the things, is create turnovers. Go get interceptions, strip the ball. They work on it multiple times a day, every day with trying to get the ball out, trying to create turnovers. And Allen's theory is because the rules so favor offenses, sometimes holding people to field goals or getting turnovers is as good as it's going to get sometimes on defense. And if you get a couple turnovers, you really change the percentages that your team wins the game. So I think one of the things defensively is Indiana's not creating turnovers like they were the past 2 years. That's something that's been a little bit different. So it'll be interesting to see how many turnovers. I don't know if they're going to be able to force a ton on Saturday, but it will be interesting to see how many turnovers they can force moving forward, because I think, in some of the other winnable games that you look at on the schedule, I think turnovers is something they're going to need to give themselves a chance to get to 6-7 wins and get to a bowl game again.
At Jeff Rabjohns on Twitter. Jeff Rabjohns covers IU for Peegs.com, joins us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Rabbi, let's switch gears a little bit to basketball. I believe Media Day was Monday, I want to say, for Indiana. We heard various players, Mike Woodson, speak. As you look ahead to this season, do you feel like a starting lineup is pretty much set in stone for this team, or are there some open jobs? And I guess if that starting lineup is set in stone, what is it on the floor?
I think he's got a pretty good idea of what it's going to be. And I think right now, more than likely, you're going to see Xavier Johnson, Tamar Bates, Miller Kopp, Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis. I think that's probably the most likely the starting 5. And I think having seen some practices, having seen workouts, whatever you want to call them, down in the Bahamas, having seen them play the 2 exhibition games, I think that's their best 5 right now. Obviously, we still have some time before games. Guys can emerge in practice. You have other guys who have started, like Rob Finnessy. But I think right now that's probably the most likely starting 5.
Did you say Lander's name?
No.
I felt like Lander was kind of in the wrong system last year. Jeff, I mean, you have seen, just so folks know, I mean, Jeff Rabjohns, you've seen far more of these players in situations than have I. I mean, no disclaimer, no doubt about that for that disclaimer. But I felt like Woodson would bring a system that was more catered towards the speed and pace in which Lander plays versus Archie Miller. Do you anticipate that we will see a breakout from Lander this year? And that surprises me that he would not be seen as a starter.
Yeah, I think this offense just makes more sense because there's more freedom. It's more read and react. It's take advantage of speed. It's go when you can go. The primary ball handler, whether he has the ball out front or on the wing, can call for the ball screen, not call for the ball screen. If you call for it, you got to, it's drive it and go. It's not just standing around. And you're watching practice, it's like the one thing with the offense, last year to me, IU's offense looked so mechanical. It was just so robotic, Okay, Jake, you go here. Jeff, throw a ball to Jake. Now, Jake, you move. And it was just so mechanical. And this is much more read and react. But be quick. Move people, move the ball. And no more of this just standing around. One of the biggest things that jumped out of the Bahamas was just no scoring droughts. None at all. 2 full games, no scoring droughts.
Oh man, that's a miracle after last year.
It's almost silly to say, hey, that was a big takeaway. But considering what I had, happened to them last year, it was kind of interesting. I think it's, this definitely can benefit. This is the type of system that gives Lander the best opportunity to thrive. It gives him the best opportunity because he has tremendous vision at speed. He has tremendous ball delivery at speed. He is a natural point guard with, a 5-star level speed, quickness, and vision. And this is going to give him his best shot. I just don't know if he's going to be ready right now because, let's be honest, this should be his freshman year in college. He should be coming out of high school. We should be talking about a kid who has yet to play a game. But, he did enroll early. But I don't know that benefited him. Just to lay it out there as blunt as I can, I don't know if it truly benefited him because I think there were times last year his confidence got completely fractured. He played double-figure minutes in a couple of their Maui Invitational games out in the Carolinas, and then all of a sudden for stretches, he comes in the first half, plays a minute or two, first mistake, gets yanked out, goes to the bench, doesn't play again. I didn't think that did anything for his development. I just didn't think it helped him much at all. I understand the argument, well, he's getting practice, he's getting college practices, all that kind of stuff. That's great. But if a player doesn't have any confidence and completely loses confidence, don't know that there's a lot of benefit going on. So I think the biggest thing is really not just addition to skill. I think the biggest thing for Christian Lander is get his confidence back. Walk out there and be a cocky SOB again. I mean that in a good way, but he's got to get that back. And I'll be interested to see if he gets that back this year or if that's maybe something that it's going to take this season to get it back, and then he'll be ready to roll next year.
Jeff Rabjohns, Peaks.com. Jeff, before we let you go, and this might be an unfair question, so I apologize before I even ask it, but when we had Greg Doyle on about a month ago, I threw this at him, was listening to Mark Titus on his podcast, and he brought up, and I'm going back to the coaching search, so again, I apologize for bringing this back up, but he brought up Brad Stevens and brought up how basically the Stevens family sat down for a vote about the IU job. And Brad wanted to listen to his 2 kids and his wife as well. They voted on it. The vote was 3-1. Brad Stevens being the one that wanted to go to Bloomington or maybe listen, or I don't even know exactly what it would have or how it would have unfolded there. You're extremely plugged in to things around Bloomington. Did you hear anything along those lines? I know that's probably more from the Stevens camp where Titus is potentially getting that from, but just curious your thoughts on the 3-1 vote with Brad wanting to go but listening to his family and electing not to.
Yeah, it's interesting. When Titus said that, checked in with some people who were very close to Brad, and they all said, Rabby, didn't happen. I was like, okay. So that's what I was told. Now, again, the only people who probably know for sure exactly what transpired are, Brad, his wife, and his 2 kids. So did they have a real vote? Did they have a straw poll vote? Did he tell somebody about it, and then that person told somebody, and then and do we have a little bit of the old telephone game being played here, where there was a conversation, and the story's gotten stretched, or did Brad or Tracy or somebody just tell a friend casually, and the story get out, and then all of a sudden they went, oh, hang on a second, we don't want that story out there. So now they're telling people, no, it didn't go down like that. I don't know. So I can't sit here and say I've been able to get 100% confirmation one way or the other. The only thing I know is that people that I reached out to who know Brad said, Rabby, that it didn't happen like that. I said, okay, no problem.
Jeff, I always felt like, and I mean, bringing in Dane Fife probably completely extinguishes this, but my initial gut was that when Thad Matta was brought in, that was a situation where Indiana maybe just felt out Thad Matta. Thad Matta says, I'd like to get more into the administrative side of things. Indiana gives him that opportunity knowing that Mike Woodson is not a 15-year guy. And so therefore now when Woodson, who I think will do a good job, decides that he's ready to go on a beach somewhere, you have somebody who can facilitate that transfer for one last opportunity to make a pass at Brad Stevens. Is that me way overthinking it, which is entirely possible?
I don't know. I don't know if that's overthinking it or not. Because Thad Matta was one of the people that, IU and others have gone to in the past to sort of, have third-party conversations with Brad Stevens because, Thad and Brad know each other. And I think it's pretty common knowledge that, a lot of times in coaching searches, it's like, all right, I'm an AD. I want to hire Jake Query, or I at least want to find out if I want to hire Jake, and I need to have some conversations. But I can't talk directly to Jake because he's employed by Big State U, and I can't, okay. So I call Kevin. Kevin, talk to Jake. Ask him these 4 questions for me, will you? All right, you two talk, and then Kevin calls me back. That's how a lot of this stuff goes in coaching searches, in the initial stages. And that's where Thad Matta came in, because he's got a relationship with Brad Stevens. So initially, IU was, talking to Thad Matta in that capacity. And then things grew from there. But the idea of, whenever Woodson's done, IU making one more run at Brad Stevens, I don't think that's crazy far-fetched. I don't. Now, they may decide to go a completely different way. Who knows? Who knows exactly how the program's doing at the time? Because I think Woodson wants, a nice run. I think he'd like 8-10 years. Somewhere around there. Get to, 71, 72, something like that. I think he'd like a nice little run. So part of this is going to be, okay, where is the IU program, when the next time comes? Are they,
and where are the Celtics?
Ranked?
What's he got going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By the way, Jeff, for what it's worth, I have no restrictions. You want to hire me right now, you don't even have to call Kevin. You can just call me directly tonight.
I appreciate it.
No holdbacks.
And it also depends on, okay, where's the IU program? Okay, if they're up and rolling, maybe you want to promote an assistant from within. If things aren't exactly going the way you want, maybe you look around. You've got other people. Michael Lewis is out there doing great things at UCLA. Kid from Jasper, Indiana. He's just out there. You talk about recruiting your tail off. It's top 50 kid, top 20 kid, top 15 kid, top 30 kid. I was like, Michael, goodness, how many of them do you want? He's like, as many as we can get. And obviously they just played for a national championship. So, that's another guy who, if you're IU, where's Michael Lewis on your radar, 6, 8, 10, 12 years down the road? He's certainly, if I'm Indiana University, I'm making sure that I pay attention to what's going on with Michael Lewis. And there are others as well, but I'm just saying, you talk about young guys who you look at and you go, who is an IU grad, who could connect the old guard, the new guard, the fans, the players, the former players, everybody, and who has a track record of being successful. Man, Michael Lewis is somebody I at least keep my eye on if I'm Indiana University.
Honestly, I don't know either of these guys well, but Michael Lewis, Dane Fife seem like two guys I'd love to throw a couple beers back with. They just seem
I
like
think
guys
both would be willing to do so.
Guys that just flat out get it. Jeff Rabjohns, no one covers IU better. Obviously a big one Saturday. I believe Hoosier Hysteria as well for the basketball program Saturday afternoon. So busy weekend coming up for Rabby. Check it out over on Peegs.com. Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate you guys. Shout out to the late, great Robin Miller. You guys take care. See you soon.
Thanks for that, Jeff. Jeff Rabjohns right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. All right, it's Big O Tires Sports Center update time on the Fan.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Surplus in the Colts backfield. That has Marlon Mack and the team mutually agreeing to seek out possible trade destinations here. Marlon Mack, dressed in week 1, didn't play, was a healthy scratch last week, and now it appears that he is on the trade block. I am not expecting a compensation in return, Jake, to be much though.
They got 25 years ago when running backs were far more prioritized. The Colts got a 5th rounder and a 2nd rounder from Marshall Faulk, who was just 25 years old. I think if you're looking at a 6th, 7th rounder from Marlon Mack, you probably are happy with that. 5 carries on the year so far for 16 yards.
And if you could swap maybe instead of a draft pick, could you get depth on the O-line, maybe a guy in the secondary as well? They got something to explore. The Colts' first practice of the week is today. It's a big one in terms of injuries. Guys like Carson Wentz, Quentin Nelson, Kwity Paye, exited that game early on Sunday. Braden Smith has missed the past couple of games. And honestly, I just feel like every week right now, Steven brought this up earlier, Jake, when we had Stephen Holder on, potentially sitting some guys down. I just feel like we're on Darius Leonard watch every week.
Totally agree. And again, when you look at the schedule, there's no reprieve. Not that there's ever a reprieve in the NFL, right, Kevin? But this is you're getting ready for kind of the back half of a real tough gauntlet to open the year. You get a little bit of a reprieve coming up at the end of October, but man, you still got some time. You got to get guys healthy. You just have to.
Monumental one on Sunday down in Miami. Some NFL news: Richard Sherman officially joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the rich appear to get a little bit richer. I guess that was just a stupid pun that I did not mean to intend at all. God, that was horrible now that I think about it. Pacers-wise, they have day 2 of their training camp today. Their preseason opener is Tuesday night. Chris Teneri is going to join us here in about 15 minutes, talk more about the Karis LeVert injury situation. Couple starting jobs open for a team right now that ran it back. Obviously, that is injury related. Easy for me to say. Any big storyline, non-TJ Warren, non-Karis LeVert, Jake, on your mind with training camp here for the Pacers?
I think just simply the fact that Rick Carlisle, you've got a player in Miles Turner that I know a lot of people were, thought he was going to be a trade piece. I never felt like the Pacers looked hard at dealing him. But Turner's a guy that everything predicates based on his defense and then their offense running from that. Carlisle is, a coach who has been defensive-minded over the course of his career. So what does Carlisle see in Miles Turner in terms of tweaking things to build around what Turner brings to them? And obviously the continued coexistence of Turner and Sabonis playing together. I think it's going to be fun to see what Rick Carlisle schematically is able to come up with.
During media day, Rick Carlisle said that the Pacers need to get back to being relevant in the Eastern Conference. Define relevancy for me.
Relevancy would be a top 5 seed and somebody that's playing beyond the first round of the playoffs.
That's high expectations. I think Eastern Conference is really good.
It is good. No, I'm not saying that's where they're going to be. I'm saying that would make them relevant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I would agree with that, especially for a franchise that, again, hasn't won a playoff game, not just a series, in several years. He's Jake Query. I'm Kevin Bowen. Let's hit a pop quiz. 317-239-1070. Scotty is in studio foaming at the mouth. Jake Query, I haven't seen someone this excited to read the pop quiz in quite a while. Jake is ready to go.
I am
on it. And Chris Teneri in about 10 minutes. Jeff Foxworthy tickets to Clues, right? Mark Dykton, we're still giving away those October 9th. So give us a call. 317-239-1070. Pop quiz time on the Fan.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Indianapolis December 22nd with 2 shows at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Tickets are on sale now. Details at 1075thefan.com.
The goblet has dropped. Caesars Sportsbook is here. Download it. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up.
Let Payless Liquors help you with your fall party or tailgate. Half gallons of Wild Turkey 101 are only $38.99. Regular Crown Royal $22.99. Prisoner Red Blend just $44.99. Tito's Pints are $11.99. $17.92 has Manhattan and Old Fashions and half pint premixes. They're only $5.99. And PaylessLiquors.com is where you sign up for Colts tickets in the Bud Light Fan Zone. And be sure to pick up your Bud Light 15-pack aluminum bottles just $15.99 at all 26 family-owned Payless Liquor stores. Don't pay more, get more, pay less at Payless Liquors.
Chris, last year was a challenge.
It was quite a challenge.
But we overcame it.
That's what life's all about, overcoming challenges together.
And I'm so proud of our entire state and our local communities for persevering through last year together. I'm Indiana High School Athletic Association Assistant Commissioner Carrie Schludecker.
And I'm Assistant Commissioner Chris Kaufman. Last year, we learned something that high school sports have always taught kids: how to overcome challenges through discipline and teamwork.
Our student athletes do it year in and year out.
And last year, they did it with limited to no attendance.
But this year, fans are back in the stands, and we want to see your enthusiasm.
So we're challenging you, the fans,
to buy a ticket to your school's next sporting event
and help the whole community persevere.
This is your team. This is your community. This is your IHSAA.
When winter's at its worst, snowplow professionals need the best. That's why your local Boss dealer has the ultimate lineup of snow and ice solutions you need. Front to back, Boss leads with advanced truck plows and spreaders, compact equipment, heavy equipment, and time-saving tools to clear any surface area. Keep them open with a Boss snowplow, built to back you up.
Join the Boss Owners Group and get a $50 rebate right now with a preseason Boss plow inspection at Mid-State Truck Equipment. Online at mid-statetruck.com.
Has a new home crossed your mind? Maybe you want something bigger or you're ready for a new neighborhood. Listen to this. Mortgage rates continue to be incredibly low, which makes your dream home very affordable, especially when you work with the salary-based mortgage experts at American Financing, America's home for home loans. Hey guys, Dan Dockich here, and I like American Financing because they create custom home loans. You're able to find the best mortgage for your home financing needs. Whether it's your first, next, or forever home, they've got you covered, and they never charge up front or hidden fees. It's really a no-pressure experience that's focused on you. So what are you waiting for? With rates still incredibly low, there's never been a better time to make your move. Pre-qualify for free by calling 463-223-1418. That's 463-223-1418, or visit AmericanFinancing.net.
It's the Tennessee Titans 25, the Colts 16.
0-3, and the heat is on. Now the Colts head to South Beach to meet up with an old friend.
Jacoby Brissett under center for the Dolphins.
Our boys in blue look to right the season as they take on the Miami Dolphins. It all starts Sunday morning at 10. Kickoff with Matt Taylor at 1 o'clock.
Touchdown, Naeem Hines. Touchdown, INDY.
On your home for Colts football, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Fan Morning Show's Pop Quiz with Kevin Bowen. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Welcome back, Fan Morning Show. It is Pop Quiz time. 317-239-1070. We're giving away Jeff Foxworthy tickets. That's October 9th at Clues Memorial Hall. Jay, give us number 1 through 8.
1 through 8, I will go with the number 3, Jay Edwards.
Who we got, Mark?
John.
John, good morning, John.
Morning, fellas.
How you doing?
Hey, it's another beautiful day.
Yeah, ain't the truth. Yeah, Jake was shocked when he saw the sun this morning.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah,
couldn't believe it. Yeah. John, I love the energy. Jake Query, hit it with number 1.
John, you sound like a nice fellow real quick. Can we play a little get to know your listener? One of my favorite things to do.
Sure.
Okay, John, if you don't mind me asking, are you a native of Indianapolis?
Sure I am.
What high school, what was the name of your high school athletic mascot? Not the name of the high school, just the mascot itself.
Eagle.
Eagles. Okay, is that like Greenfield? Is that right?
I was going to guess Zionsville.
Zionsville. Heritage, also the Eagles, right? Is it Heritage?
No.
Okay. John, last question. Who was president the year you were born?
Nixon, I think.
Okay, so this is like me, late 40s, early 50s, John. John, first question.
Well, I'm kind of curious what the high school is, John, now.
Yeah, what is the high school, John?
Calvary Christian High School.
Oh, wow. I would not have guessed that.
John, who currently leads the major league in home runs? A, Ohtani. B, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. C, Fernando Tatis. D, Salvador Perez.
Is it not Tatis?
Salvador Perez.
You want to guess again?
Salvador Perez.
Hang on.
Salvador
What
Perez.
are the choices?
That would be Ohtani, Guerrero Jr., Tatis, or Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez.
Let's say Perez.
Oh, hey, okay. Salvador Perez. Lock him in on that one. All right.
One for the Eagles there, John. Red second baseman Jonathan India has had an impressive rookie season. India has scored 96 runs and has 56 extra base hits this season. Only one rookie in Reds history has exceeded both of those numbers. Name him. A, Pete Rose. B, Johnny Bench. C. Frank Robinson, D. Jay Bruce.
I'm actually going to go with Jay Bruce.
All right. Jake?
Okay, John, in the Cowboys' Monday night win over the Eagles, Dak Prescott threw 3 touchdown passes with no picks. That is the 10th time that Prescott has had a 3 TD no-pick game in his career. That ties him for Roger Staubach for second most in Cowboys history. Which Cowboy quarterback holds the franchise record in this category? A. Tony Romo. B. Dandy Don Meredith. C. Craig Morton, who, by the way, took 2 franchises to the Super Bowl. Or D. Danny White. Show's over at 10.
How about Dandy Don?
Okay.
Number 4, the St. Louis Cardinals made it 17 wins in a row with their wild card clinching victory over the Brewers last night. The 17-game win streak is the longest in the National League since 1935. Name the NL team that won 21 games in a row in 35. Is it the Cardinals? A. B. The Chicago Cubs. C. The New York Giants. D. The Cincinnati Reds.
I want to say the New York Giants.
Okay, lastly, John, on this day in 1976, you and I were both running around in tough skins and riding Schwinn bicycles, and Tommy Lasorda was hired as the Los Angeles Dodgers manager. He was there for 21 years. He had 1,599 victories, but the record for most victories as a Dodger manager belongs to which man? A. Leo DeRocher. B. Wilbert Robinson. C. Walter Alston. Or D. Charlie Dressen.
I'm going to say DeRocher.
Are you positive about that?
No.
Yeah.
Nowhere near positive.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What if
John's on it with the hints.
Yeah. John, what if I said that you might want to see another answer?
What were they again?
Leo DeRocher, Wilbert Robinson, Walter Alston, and Charlie Dressen.
Alston.
What's that?
Alston.
He went with C on that one.
Look at that.
That is correct.
Man.
Pulling
C
a rabbit
correct.
out of a hat right
I don't
now.
know how John got that one. That was impressive, John, to say the least. The leader in Major League right now in home runs is who after Jake Query just held his hand across 465?
Salvador Perez.
Salvador Perez.
Got 47 of them.
Number 2, only one rookie in Reds history has exceeded both of the numbers Jonathan India has put up this season. That's 96 runs and 56 extra base hits. Jake, he guessed Jay Bruce. The answer, Jake?
The answer was Frank Robinson. Who, by the way, was MVP in both leagues.
You don't get to come back tomorrow. You don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser.
You lose. Good day, sir.
Tony, get your bag and get the hell out of here.
By the way, speaking of Tony Romo was the correct answer for the Cowboys question.
Chicago Cubs. That was the NL team that won 21 in a row in 1935, not the Giants, and Walter Alston was correct on the Dodgers manager with the most wins. You said you were surprised only 21 years for Tommy Lasorda?
It just felt like Lasorda was there forever. I mean, I just, to me, it feels like Lasorda left the Dodgers 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I see the All-Star game picture.
He just was he was so ubiquitous for so long.
Right. I would agree with that. All right, John, thanks for calling in. Again, Jeff Foxworthy tickets coming your way. Chris Staneri joins us next to talk more about the Karis LeVert injury and where the Pacers stand as they are less than a week away from their preseason opener. I'm Kevin Bowen, Jake Query, Fan Morning Show.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
Bowling's back. Same great game, new rules. And Royal Pin Entertainment wants to help you put the fa-la-la back into your corporate Christmas event. Royal Pin Entertainment offers the perfect combination of food and fun. At Royal Pin, you don't have to be a super athlete to have a blast, and everyone's on the team when you're bowling. It's time to get jolly, and Royal Pin has all the trimmings your company needs to make this year's Christmas event the best ever. It's always comfy in their modern entertainment centers, and bowling's guaranteed to create team spirit and glad tidings. Let Royal Pin organize your company's Christmas event. For more information, download the Open Lane app, call 465-8484, or look them up at royalpin.com.
Royal Pen. Royal Pen.
What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Saturday, and you've heard me talk about More Restoration for years. I've used More Restoration on my home 3 times for a fire and flooding. I care about my family, and More made me feel confident in using them. Kenny and the team at More have just become a part of First On-Site, making them one of the largest restoration companies in Indiana and North America. Same people, same personal customer service, but large enough to handle any loss, any disaster with First On-Site. Call the people Jeff Saturday calls. Call More Restoration, a First On-Site company.
Oh, outstanding.
Marvelous.
I've never seen anything like it.
The world has never seen anything like it.
It's the greatest play of all time.
Greatest play in the history of all time.
Booyah!
Boom, baby!
Wow!
Ooh-wee!
Love sports like we do? Fan harder with USA Today Sports Plus, the new sports app that delivers all the insights, all the reports, live and direct to your phone.
Download it from the Apple and Google Play stores today. USA Today Sports Plus. Fan harder.
A new season, a new QB, a new look. Football is back. And so are Bud Light Blue Fridays. Every week, join JMV beginning at 3 for Cold Bud Lights, Colts football talk, and your chance to win tickets to Colts games.
Hey, it's JMV. Join me Friday at Average Joe Sports Club in Broad Ripple for your chance at Thursday Night Football Jets tickets.
JMV, Bud Light, and you. Doing it for the shoe.
I'll see you this Friday at Average Joe's in Broad Ripple.
Are you one of the millions of homeowners who haven't refinanced yet? If so, I'm here to tell you it's not too late. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial. Although the lowest rates may be in our rearview mirror, as the economy recovers from the biggest economic shock of our lifetime, rates still remain near historic lows. In fact, with the dramatic increase in home values, this may be the perfect time to put that new home equity to work. Take advantage of our cash out refi program and pay off high-rate credit cards, car loans, or other high-interest rate debt. Or finally make those home improvements you put on hold for so long. Best of all, we can do this with no closing costs. That's right, whether it's a conventional, FHA, or VA loan, we'll pay for your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. 888-455-3669.
NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
There's never been a better time to switch to Spectrum Mobile. You could save hundreds of dollars on your mobile bill. Plus, there are no added taxes, hidden fees, and no contracts. Try the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator today, and in 3 easy steps, you'll see how much you could save by switching. Visit spectrummobile.com/save. Spectrum Internet required. Savings may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit spectrummobile.com/save for details.
Your friends are hosting an online viewing party to watch a soccer match. But if your slow upload speeds were to make you sound like an evil robot...
Pass the ball! Pass the ball!
Whoa, who is that?
I'm sorry. You're not an evil robot. You just need better internet. AT&T Fiber delivers a faster internet experience with 25 times faster upload speeds than cable. Visit att.com/25 times faster.
Limited availability in select areas based on Internet 1000 wired upload connection speed versus major cable providers 1 gig service with uploads of 35 megabits per second. Restrictions apply.
Ben Davis hosts Carmel on Friday Night Football. The action begins at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Just a great re-entry there by Mark Dykton. You know, we're having Chris Tenary on in about, a minute or two. And Jake, we've had a lot of guests, and you have certainly had a lot of guests in your day doing various radio gigs. Have you ever had a guest that says, I need a minute because I just finished a workout, let alone, I believe this man does, what's the crazy workout stuff he does? CrossFit.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one?
CrossFit?
No. Have you ever had a guest that says, I can't come on because I'm out of breath after just finishing a workout?
No, I've had some people when I call them like, really? Okay, you knew we were calling, but no, I've never had that. But Denari's a workout fiend, though.
He is a workout fiend. I'm like, geez. I mean, I'm used to Mike Wells saying I need to hit a tee shot or,
And you go grab another burrito.
Yeah, something along those lines there. But we will have Chris Tenary on shortly with us and ask him about Karis LeVert. We had a caller in the break, Jake, and we're going to have Will Carroll on tomorrow to talk more about this. They were curious if the Karis LeVert injury situation, again, a minor stress fracture in his back is what Adrian Wojnarowski reported, has anything to do with the kidney cancer from last year.
I think it's a really intriguing question.
The treatment. Yeah, I mean, what? I don't know about you. Way above my pay grade.
Well.
But something to certainly throw at Will Carroll tomorrow.
I don't even have a pay grade, so that speaks for itself. But, yeah, that would be one that probably would be difficult to get a concrete answer on because I don't know that anybody would necessarily reveal that information, but I do think it's an intriguing question. I don't know that we would ever get the answer for it, though.
No, I was going to say that's something that I just have no idea on whatsoever. But like you said earlier, minus stress fracture, that's a bit oxymoron, especially in the back.
You know, what I'm interested in with the Pacers this year is a guy like Jeremy Lamb. There was so much chatter about Jeremy Lamb possibly being moved in the offseason, and yet he's here and somebody that they may need minutes from. You know, he's minutes from. How do guys respond to that? You know what I mean?
Agreed. I think he's kind of a forgotten guy. You know, they thought, expendable, get some money, and now all of a sudden you might need him to start for you for quite a while. All right, the man has caught his breath, done working out. Chris Tenary joins us. Chris, thank you for that. Great way to start your morning. And I think yesterday was a pretty good day for you, right? Back in the building for the first time in nearly 2 years.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can't tell you how many times I have called Jake when he's working out and he's on a bike or he's on a treadmill.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right, Jake? I mean, I can't tell you how many times we talked and I can tell he's sweating. And so when Mark called, I said, hey, can you give me about a minute? But no, yesterday was great. It was the first time in the Ascension St. Vincent practice facility to watch a practice since March of 2020. That is a year and a half. God. And just to be around the players. And then yesterday was also the Pacers Foundation golf outing that I emceed. And I went to practice and then came back to MC the awards portion, and probably 7 or 8 of the players came out. And it was really good to see them interact with people. And quite honestly, I was just happy to interact with them because when you haven't had that, I think that's a part. I tell people all the time that it's not just calling the games. It's, being interactive for the organization. And part of that comes with, just being around the players and getting to know them so that they can trust you and those types of things. So, yeah, yesterday was a really, really good day.
Chris, let's begin with this, and that is the story that we found out yesterday about Karis LeVert. It's an unfortunate setback in terms of, a guy that's had some injury issues. We know that he's a talented player and one that's going to be a key piece for the Pacers, but is it too early to know exactly how long this could keep him out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that was sort of his interaction with us yesterday after practice. The Pacers PR staff made him available, and oftentimes they don't do that with injured players. But it was good to hear from Karis, and he said, this is really nothing compared to what I went through a year ago. And when we visited with him on Media Day on Monday, he was in good spirits. They didn't know this. It came about in a scan that they had done because he had some discomfort, but I mean, up until Media Day, he was going 5-on-5 with the guys and all those kinds of things. So we'll just have to wait and see. Rick Carlisle mentioned that he would be getting a second opinion, and we'll just have to wait and see. So hopefully, the good news is it's the start of training camp, and it's September, and it's not November or December, and we'll just have to wait and see. But, yeah, he is going to be a key part. I looked over there yesterday when we were watching practice, and there were 40 points a game sitting on the sideline in T.J. Warren and Karis LeVert, and you just don't want to go through a whole year again wondering what if. So we'll just have to wait and see on Karis.
Pacers TV voice, Bally Sports, Chris Tenary joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. CD, obviously a lot of different routes the Pacers could explore in replacing these two guys. Seems like Warren a little bit longer than Karis LeVert. Jake brought up Jeremy Lamb, a bit of a forgotten name. I think Torrey Craig, the free agent signing in the offseason, seems like some insurance for Warren. Obviously, Chris Duarte. I thought back to Edmund Sumner, just how crushing it is that he tore his Achilles. He'd have a great opportunity right now. Who are some names that you're watching for that could slide into the starting lineup? But just a rotation, if you need it for LeVert, and then obviously likely needing it with TJ Warren expected to miss more time.
Yeah, well, yesterday, and, it was the first day of practice, but they had Justin Holiday and Jeremy Lamb running with the first team, and Torrey Craig, Chris Duarte, Isaiah Jackson was working with the second unit, and I want to tell you, the two rookies looked really, really good yesterday. At one point, I didn't even feel like Duarte missed a shot. And so, Torrey Craig gives them a person on the wing that has good size, and he's a good defender. And when you think about, and I heard you guys earlier when I was driving to work out about how much deeper the Eastern Conference is, you're going to need somebody like Torrey Craig because of the Kevin Durant's, the Giannis's, those type of people that play that wing. You need a body that can get out there and defend. And so I think Rick Carlisle has a lot of options as far as that is concerned. You don't want to see guys injured with Warren and LeVert right now, but I think there is enough depth there at the wing position that you can sort of cobble some things together. You're not going to be as deep as you would hope, but I think there are a number of guys that can step in and sort of fill the bill.
Every year, Chris, there is a player that, because of the evolution of others, suddenly sees their role diminished. And obviously it can yo-yo. I mean, we see that with Jeremy Lamb this year, possibly. His number gets called after, maybe he got squeezed out a little bit, even though I know he was hurt. But is there anybody that you look at and you say, that's a player that minutes are going to be harder to come by than they have been for him in the past?
Well, I think the biggest question will be is, how does Rick Carlisle deal with all the bigs that he has? And so you have Sabonis and Turner starting, and you've got a talented young big man in Isaiah Jackson, and we just don't know, how quickly he'll develop. But he has an amazing skill set, and I'll be honest, there was about a transition back and forth 3 times yesterday where he did some things that you were like, wow, that's why he was a first-round draft pick. So the guy that you wonder about is how he'll fit in is Goga Bitadze. I mean, he showed some signs last year of doing a lot of good things. He had a step back this year just because he had to go home and was not able to participate in Summer League. So, I mean, he's a guy that is right there that has shown us that he can do a lot of good things. The question is how deep do you go in your rotation? Most coaches like to go 9 or 10. Now, when you're playing 3 games in 4 nights or 4 and 6, you tend to go a little bit deeper into your bench. So he might be a guy that at the start of the year, you just don't know where he'll fit in. But that's why you have the preseason. That's why you have these practices. That's why you have 4 games. And I think Rick said yesterday he's not married, to rotations right now. He feels like he has a lot of flexibility, and we'll see how that all plays out.
Rick Carlisle was very bullish about Isaiah Jackson, the young rookie out of Kentucky, his athleticism. When you were watching, Chris, and I realize one practice does not a season make, but when you were watching Isaiah Jackson, does that athleticism jump out at you in terms of the gaps he can close defensively or the lanes he can create offensively? What kind of player are we talking about here?
Well, I think he is definitely a guy that can close the lanes defensively. I mean, he came out of nowhere to pin a shot on the backboard yesterday, and then on the other end, they got him the ball, and he hit about a 15, 16-footer because, at Kentucky, he was not a perimeter shooter. I've watched his shot. He has pretty good form, and I think that's something that you can develop over the years. So I think he's a guy that what this Pacers team has lacked over the years, especially the last few years, is just, they've not been as athletic as some of the other teams. And so when you start to add somebody like him, it helps the other guys because it covers for maybe areas where their athleticism, hurts them. So I think defensively he can be a guy, and that's the one thing that Rick Carlisle stressed yesterday, and I'd say that's what they worked on practice easily 75 to 80%. It was on defense. It was on little things. I was seeing drills that my dad up in heaven would be looking down going, boy, I love that, because I remember doing some of those same drills in high school. So those are the things that Rick pulled out yesterday with his staff. And, the other thing I was really impressed is the way that he empowers his assistants and how much talking that they do and how much leading they do in drills. And I really think that is going to turn out to be a huge positive, especially with this team.
TV voice of the Pacers, Chris Denary on the Fan Morning Show. It's Kevin Bowe, myself, and Jake Query. Chris, where are we at with you guys broadcast-wise, Bally Sports? Are you guys traveling? Where does that stand? And then I'm trying to forget who were maybe something like was it Comcast you couldn't watch Bally Sports on last year? I'm trying to think.
No, all the cables have it.
All the cables have it.
All the cables. The only cable, I guess you call it either cable or satellite, would be Dish. And I've seen where that is in negotiation right now.
Okay.
We weren't on YouTube TV or Hulu last year, so those two streamings.
Is that still the same?
I think right now that is still the same, but that's always being negotiated, so you never know.
Right.
They will announce the broadcast schedule here at some point. We will do a couple of the preseason games, and then the Pacers only have one national game, and that's a game in Miami on TNT on a Tuesday in December. So we'll have 81 of the 82, and so we look forward to doing that. We'd love to see the Pacers have more national games, but the fewer there are, then the more that we get to do. And we've got NBA 2 big days of conference calls over the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday, where we'll all get together, and I'm sure we'll know a lot more information about what's happening across the league as far as travel and those kinds of things. But we'll be back courtside at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Look at that! You already got that.
Yeah, nice.
In your lexicon, you're just a pro right here. Fresh off a workout, and he's got Gainbridge on his mind.
Well, I said yesterday, the good news was I had a perfect batting average last year after we changed from a certain name to Bally Sports Indiana. I'm not going to say the certain name because if you say that name, then you start getting it in your head. And so, yeah, I've been pretty good with Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and that was an exciting press conference on Monday, and all that they've done, as Jake knows, with IndyCar and the Indianapolis 500. It's great to see them be a big-time partner and have the naming rights on the Fieldhouse. So, there will be a lot that will be hashed out, I think, over the next 48, 72 hours. And I think the next time I'm on with you guys, I'll know a little bit more.
I love it. Well, hopefully we can make this a weekly thing per usual, Chris, as basketball gets underway. First preseason game Tuesday coming up next week, and then the first regular season game 3 weeks from today. That's is it at Charlotte? Is that the first regular season game? I think that's right.
First regular season game's at Charlotte. It's Charlotte and Washington, and then the home opener is Saturday, October the 20th. And I'm going to be in Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Friday night for Dan and Shay. Mel Raines told me that I might be the oldest male in the building on Friday night. So, but I got my concert chops going. My wife and I, Terry, we were in Dayton at Huber Heights on Saturday and saw Brett Eldridge.
Wow,
that's our first live.
Huber Heights is the brick home capital of the world, Chris.
I know it is.
Of course, Jake bringing that great knowledge for you.
I grew up 13 miles from there in Troy, Ohio, so very familiar with that area.
I love it, Chris. Thank you. Great to hear your voice, and we'll be looking forward to you and Quinn getting back on the air.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Chris Denary, TV voice of Bally Sports right there. Jake Query, I enjoyed it. Tomorrow, Friday as well, Monday and Tuesday. Thank you to Stephen Holder, Jeff Rabjohns, and as you just heard, Chris Denary. We'll be back tomorrow on the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.